Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience.
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello, Mitch Crooker. That's right. I gave Mitch Crooker, Chief Crooker, a little shout out tonight.
Yeah.
He's a jagoff. I give him a shout out. I'll give Mike Timothy a shout out too. They're both jagoffs. What do you think about that?
Capital J.
Capital J. Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the only one that brings jagoffs to the kitchen table, bro. That's what we do. We learned another new name, a suckhole. Suckholes. It brings suckholes to the kitchen table. We learned all these new words, right? There was another one. There was a cross one there. I forget what it was. Suckhole.
That was the suckhole was the one. That was the best one out of all of them.
Yeah, a suckhole, a jagoff.
That's the guy. We call that a kiss ass, but they call it suckhole.
Yeah.
Oh, right. He sucks up to the boss. He's a suck.
Like, what?
Right.
Like some people do to get promoted.
Oh, it was a jag. It was a jag something. Jag hole.
Oh, yeah. I think it was a combination, a jag hole and a suck hole. Jag hole. What we're learning tonight.
I was just thinking, we've only had
What?
the Chicago guys. We've only had Chiefs on, right? Is there any Indians out there?
I don't know,
what's going on?
Yeah, we had on the big wig. How was his name? Fuck, I forget.
Big wig.
We had Chickarotis on.
Chickarotis. Timothy.
Chief Crooker. Now we got Momo.
Chief Momo.
Who was the other guy? Who was the chief of department, for Christ's sake?
Oh, man. I can't.
You're lucky I remember your name.
I know,
Exactly.
right? I wonder if he was a jagoff.
I don't know.
And then we got two more guys coming up. I think these guys were firemen. I don't think they were chiefs.
Amen.
Right?
Indian. We need an Indian.
There were special ops guys, too.
Oh.
Squad guys.
Send you a message. Yeah, don't send me any emails.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Keith, I read the email. I emailed you back, bro, Keith.
Oh, Hoff. Chief Hoff. Another chief.
Hoff. Right,
Hoff.
another chief.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
First live viewing. We'll give him a little shout out. We got a first timer in here.
Who's that?
Adam. Listen to me.
What about
Adam.
Nick Hintz? Looks like a new guy.
That's it. Live viewing. First live viewing. Well, welcome, bro.
Adam, who is he? Guinea too? Per Sandy.
Let me put that back up there. Let me see what because per Sandy.
Oh, Adam, what's up, buddy?
God bless.
Welcome to the first live view. I wonder if he's a suckhole.
Zone Butts. We got another one. I'm sorry.
That's Zane Butts.
Zane. Hey.
You got your hair in your eyes? What are you doing?
Maybe you need thicker glasses.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for thicker glasses.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a thicker set.
Zane,
bro.
Zane went like this.
You dick.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
All right, we got to go a few commercials and we'll get the Mo in here because I think Mo's got the record for sending pictures.
Oh
my God.
He must have sent 100 pictures.
It was 134 to be exact.
Was it really?
134.
That's a guy who's got some pictures of himself.
He's not full
There
of
wasn't
himself.
even that many of him. No, there wasn't that many of him.
A lot of pictures of Mitch, nude.
All right. Well, let's hear from New Jersey Fire. So
Mitch said he's very photogenic.
He's out there. He's in the back, like you son of a bitches.
Yeah.
All serious. We'll get to you in a minute, there, Chief. All right, let's hear from New Jersey
Very
Fire.
photogenic.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey Fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Fire Hooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
We got another guy in there, new guy, Wendell Pfefferkorn. He was night driving in Kansas.
Pfefferkorn.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't be texting and driving, Wendell Pfefferkorn. And a big happy birthday to QC Beast, a.k.a. Landis Robbins.
Oh, look at this.
Landis!
Mikey Boots.
Female fight. Oh, I know Mikey Boots. He works for Seagrave.
Oh,
Mikey Boots.
That's probably him in the picture driving.
I see him at the Ruffy. Don't see him because Ruffy don't go to the Jersey show. I see Mikey Boots at the Jersey show. Mikey Boots. All right.
Let's do this.
Bring in the chief. He says he's taller than me, but I don't believe he's taller than me. You know what I mean? We could go back to. Did you download the picture of me and him at 288?
I have one in here of 288. But yeah.
Yeah. See who's taller because he's telling me he's taller than me. I know for shit sure I'm taller than Crooker. There's no doubt I'm taller than Mitch.
Oh, all right. Here we go. Let me see. Is this it right here? Oh no, that's not him. But he's tiny here.
That is him.
That is him, but it's not with you.
There's another one that's with me. Oh, he's shorter than me. There's no fucking way. Yeah, he's shorter than me.
If you have it, send it to me because I didn't see it. If you know the number, if not, he'll give us the number. Well, let's get him in here.
I'll bring him in here, Ruff. Let's get him in here. I don't want him to lose his patience.
All right.
He looks like a rough son of a bitch.
Look angry?
No, he's not looking angry. He's just getting ready to drop a few F-bombs.
Bring him in.
All right, coming to the stage all the way from Chicago, Battalion Chief Mo Rodriguez.
There he is.
There he is.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Chief Jagoff. Chief.
Suckhole.
Did we miss one? There was Suckhole, Jagoff, and what was the other one?
Jagbag.
Oh, a Jagbag.
I had it wrong.
If there was a quiz at the end of the show, you would have fucked it up.
The Jagbag.
Jag or Jag? I say Jag, but Jag.
I feel very comfortable now. We got another guy with a nice chrome dome in there, bro. I don't have to wear my
hair. Glasses, hey.
Glasses, bro.
There you go.
Wow. What do you think?
I'm not privy enough to get the headphones. What the fuck is up with that?
How many fingers am I holding up? Chief, and only Chief. How many fingers am I holding up?
You need some thicker glasses.
Chief Mo and only Chief Mo. How many fingers am I holding up? Wait, before we dive into this shit fest that we're about to dive into here, let's get patriotic.
Yes, here we go. Stand by.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excelente. So let's just throw it right out there, Chief. How tall are you exactly? Give me what
5'6".
Bullshit! You told me 5'7" just a few minutes ago.
No,
I know. He said. Scoop said 5'7".
So I am.
I said he was full of shit, but I'm 5'6". I'm not lying.
And he's definitely shrinking.
I think he's adding. I think he's heightening.
Well, you know what it is? His legs are going like that, so he's definitely moving.
Yeah, well, if I wasn't bow-legged, if I wasn't bow-legged, I'd be 5'10".
Mitch says you're lying. All right, it's not on his timeline. His early.
Yo, nice
strong
job.
stuff.
Oh boy,
his early days. Let's go back to the early days in Mexico when you.
Nice, I like that.
I'm quick.
It actually started. Hey, it started there though. It started there. I was born in Mexico.
Oh, fuck.
Come on, really?
Nice fucking guess.
Mira,
Hey,
When
you
I
weren't
was
too
a little
far off,
boy
Big
in
Bag.
Mexico.
You weren't too
Oh,
far off,
really?
Big Bag. Right there.
You call me Jack Bag. I love it. All right, let's go back to the early days. Where were you born?
Mexico City.
Mexico City.
No,
All right. How
Along
old
with
were
the
you
other
when
20
you?
million.
How old were you when you snuck across the border? I mean, how old were you when you came over?
Old enough to swim.
They called him Bob.
All right. So, what year did you come here, Chief?
I came here at an early age. My mom was here. You know, my mom came. Of course, she went back to Mexico, and she happened to have me when she was back there visiting. It wasn't planned to be that way, but it worked out that way. Anyway, so we've been here pretty much all our lives. And, you know, like
What
anybody
brought her all
else.
the way up to Chicago, from Mexico to Chicago.
My grandmother opened a restaurant in Chicago, Mexican restaurant. My mom came up here to work for her. So
Would
So
be
we
an
all have
Italian one.
work our way up here.
Any brothers or sisters?
9 of us.
Holy good God, man!
That
But
woman
That
there's
was
woman
fine.
alone.
Hey, there's a story behind that. It's
I'm sure there's 9 stories behind that, or 10.
Hey, we're kind of
That you know of. That you know of.
It's I got a blood brother and sister, but everybody else is stepbrothers and sisters. And it was we put the Brady bunch to shame. That's all I can tell you. You know what
Tell
I
your
mean?
father to wrap his burrito, will you, or something?
He was all over it, man. Let me tell you.
You ain't kidding, bro.
He
Good
was
for
all
you. Good for him. Is he
Great
still
guy.
around?
Huh?
Is dad still
No, he's
around?
gone. He
Oh,
passed.
man, I would love to meet
But
that
I'll
guy,
tell-
bro.
Yeah,
I'll
he
tell
was-
you what, you had him on the show. He'd put you guys to shame. I mean, he was as hard as
No
they got.
doubt.
World War
Man.
II vet. World War II vet. Lived through the
Really?
Depression. I mean, hardcore. Yeah.
Was he
He
from
was-
Mexico too, or no? He was from here.
No. He's German descent.
Oh, so
My
with
stepfather.
German-
My
a
stepfather's the one that raised me.
Oh, your stepdad's the one that raised you.
Yeah. And,
And how many
he
step-
brought the other 6 with him. You know, there was 3 of us with
Ah.
my mom. He brought the other 6.
Mira,
But we-
here's the story.
It was good though.
I'm a
I'll tell you
bunch
what,
of
we had a lot of fun
Essos.
times.
Chief, is your mom still alive?
Yes, she sure is.
How old is
sure
she?
89. She'll be 89
Oh.
in April.
Oh, good for you.
Good for mom. So did you have to work? Did you work in the restaurant as a kid?
Oh yeah, I started. My old man got us a
Awesome.
job at the restaurant, bussing tables, and I was 13 because he wanted to keep us off the streets.
A smart
We were
man.
working since we were 13. I've had at least one job since I was 13.
Wow,
That's
You know,
awesome.
and he did it with all of my brothers and sisters. All of us went to work. You know, he
that's
kept
great.
us out of trouble.
What did
Before
he
that,
do?
before my mom met my stepfather, he would send us to Mexico for the whole summer, keep us off the streets. So we'd go out to Mexico and we'd stay with family out there. A couple of days before school started, we'd come back. You know.
Oh, so you, had to spend, you still have relatives down there?
Oh yeah, everybody's down there.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So
You go.
like I said,
You visit still? What part of Mexico? Mexico City.
What part of Mexico?
we were in Mexico City, but most of them are in Guadalajara now.
Okay.
What did your dad do? Kev was asking that. I was interested
He's
in
bartender.
No
Oh.
shit.
Dad was a bartender. My mom was a waitress.
Salute.
Hard working blue collar people.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we grew up blue collar 100%, and they were all workers, and they taught us to be workers as well, and they carried on through our lives.
That's what you got to do. You got to show the kids a good work ethic. My daughter says that to me all the time. I watch you. That's one thing I give her, she said, which makes me happy.
It's
Yeah, I
so.
just got my kid a job over the summer, last summer, as a caddy at a country club because I wanted him to work also. He was 15. I said, dude, you got to get out there and start working.
Hell yeah, man.
You know, and it carries on. You know, in the fire service, you know who your workers are. Right.
Yeah.
Away. We always know who to work
Yeah,
with.
you know the guy who's crying about BI or crying about I'm like, really? You never had a job in your life, did you, bro? You crying
Well,
about BI.
that's just it. You can tell the difference of the guys that never had a job and the
Yeah.
guys that actually worked for a living. Because when you get a job in the fire service, you realize you died and went to heaven. You know?
Hey, that's what I
Sure.
say, Ruff. What's that shirt that we had? Love what
What's
you
that?
do for a living, and was it
You'll never
If
work
you-
a day in your life.
never work a day in your life, right?
Exactly that. If you truly love what you do.
Yeah.
I was just telling somebody that today. I said, 37 years, almost a little more than 37 years on the job, and it went by a blink of an eye because there was
Does.
never a day that it felt. I never got up once and said, "Oh shit, I got to go to work."
Right.
Yeah, you never.
My
And when
stuff
you're at work, you never looking at the clock saying, "Oh fuck, I can't wait to get out of here, man." Right? Never.
never,
Nope.
never.
Even
then
on
you
your
get-
worst day, man.
And then
No,
when we
you
were-
ride to the end, right?
And
You
when
ride
we were
right to-
when we were young, we didn't even want to go on a daily day because we didn't want to miss anything.
right?
go on furlough, you get back, you found out they got some work, they did this, they did that. You'd be like, fuck, I missed it.
Yeah.
You know?
What
I was just going to say, Coobs is probably going to say that same thing. So now I'm interested in how, being brought up like that, how did you even start to think about the fire department? Like, how did that even come into your sight?
That's a good story. Anyway, being a worker, I was in school at the time, and a guy that used to drink at my dad's bar where he used to work at, he owned a terrazzo and marble supply company, and he was looking for somebody to work. So I told my dad, I said, let him know I'd be willing to come and work for him over the summer, because I was in school at the time, but it was summer. And he put me to work. So I was loading trucks. I was loading trucks with 100-pound bags of rock for terrazzo floors. And guy come in, and he's driving a truck, and one of the guys working in the factory says, hey, that guy's a fireman. I said, really? So I went over there, a little chit chat, nothing big. Hey, how's it going? Hey, you're a fireman. What's it like? I didn't know a fireman, knew nothing about the job, nothing whatsoever. No ambition to be a fireman. Never thought about it as a kid. Never even entered my mind. So I talked to this guy for all of about 5-10 minutes, asked him what it's like. He said, it's a great job. I give me a little explanation what he does. He goes, they're going to be hiring. You ought to go down to City Hall and fill out an application. So I go down there. While I'm down there, I fill out the police application. I fill out the fire department application. Next thing you know, I get a call. They're going to give the test. I go and I take the test. I was working at UPS at the time, so I was all ribs and dick. I weighed about 135 pounds. I weighed about 135 pounds, and I had like about 5% body fat. So, now this test that they give is for the wiry guy, So I take the test, and I did really well. From the time I took the test to the time I got hired was less than a year. So
wow,
isn't that amazing? How Chief,
one guy?
That's the constant in all of the guests. Most of the time, if it wasn't through family, it's just some weird thing like that where the fact that you're looking for a job, you get a job through somebody who's hanging out at your dad's place, and it just snowballs into a 37-year career, right? It's just freaking incredible when you think about how that even came about, how, like the stars line up. You could be doing any other thing except, now here you are 37 years later with an incredible career. And
you guys, hey, hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Hanging out with us, Jaguars.
Well, I was just going to say that, you got on the fire department, everything with the graph was going straight up. You met us, it went like this.
And then now I'm hanging out with a bunch of jag bags.
A jag bag.
So I get called for both jobs. I get called for the police department too.
Oh,
but now I'm sitting there and I'm contemplating what should I do. At that time in Chicago, the police department, they were on what they call rotating shifts. 1 month they'd be on midnights, 1 month on days, 1 month on evenings. Everything you heard about it was fucking up their sleeping and everything else. It wasn't a good thing. And I just happened to take the fire department gig because it was 1 on and 2 off. I said, hey, that's a pretty good schedule. I can deal with that. So I sign up. So now I sign up. I get called. I take the test. I do really well on the test because, of course, like I said, it was geared for guys like us, hang from a bar in a pull-up position, blah, blah, blah. So I knew nothing about the job. I go down to the academy. I'm talking to guys down there. They had tested 2 or 3 times. They had worked out for a year. They did all of this stuff. And I thought to myself, I'm glad I didn't know anything about the job. It might have made me nervous or something, taking the test. I went there. I didn't care if I got the job or not, to be honest with you. I just went there and I saw other guys doing things. And I said, well, if that guy's going to do it, I'm going to beat his score. That guy hung for 2 minutes. I'm going to hang for longer than that. Just me wanting to beat everybody else, So I did well.
Wait. That's the little man complex.
Fucking right it is.
I got it. I got it.
I know. You got it.
Yeah, I go to the gym. I look for the biggest guy. I'm like, I'm going to lift more than
And the funny thing about it, Coop, is that I was with a group of about 18 guys or so, and there was another guy that was a small guy like me, vertically challenged like myself, and he hung from the bar, and he hung for 1:58, and I was one of the last guys to go, and I said, well, I'm going to beat that fucking guy's score. He hung for 1:58. So, of course, now I get to the 2-minute mark, and the guy taking scores, they're like, oh, you can come down. I was like, well, fuck this. Now I'm staying up to see how long I can last. So I stood up there 232.
Woo!
That's what actually catapulted me into the top 200, for the test. So anyway, so I go to the academy and I go in there and these guys are telling me all of this stuff about how so on and so forth. And I don't know a thing. I don't know anything. I don't know anybody. Now they group us up. We get in a group. I happened to get in a group that was just a phenomenal group. We were tight, 15 of us, I think, in the group, and we hung out together. Even when we weren't in the academy, we helped each other out. A couple of the guys were they had family on the job, so they had an idea what was going on. So they kind of helped us out with the guys that didn't. And they, we ended up doing a lot of stuff together. It was actually pretty good. So, but now I get assigned. Now I'm in the academy. Guys are making their phone calls. If you got clout, you're making your call where I want to go, where I want to be. Me, I knew I wanted to go, but I didn't have anybody to call. But then when it got close to us getting put out in the field, because we did 4 months at that time in the academy and training. So now I get to the point where I'm just hoping I get a truck. I know I'm not going to get what I want, but at least give me a truck. Well, I get sent to truck 25. It was for me, it was a good stepping stone in the sense that the officer there was the captain. His name was Cornelius Sullivan, and he was about the best that you could possibly get for a young guy. He was a fireman. He was a knowledgeable guy. He was a fireman, but he was one of those guys that you better have your gym shoes on when we get off the rig because he's going. And if you don't stay with this fucking guy, you're going to get lost. You know what I mean? So that taught you to get ready. You were getting ready on the way there. You were ready to go. But now we get our first run, and I won't forget this, but we get our first run, and, in the academy, you're training, putting on your gear and putting all your stuff on. Well, we get a call for a kid trapped in a car. And to tell you how much shit I don't know, we get off the rig. I got my helmet on. I'm carrying a hand pump. I'm carrying all kinds of stuff. And for a kid caught locked in a car, a baby locked in the car, that, it's kind of embarrassing because you're expecting it to be a fire call. So you're ready to go like it's a fire call. But like I said, and from there, I just started learning because I knew nothing about the fire department. I mean, that's how little I knew. So it went from there. Connie taught us a lot, told us, what was the way to go, what to think about, studying, presenting. He actually used to lend me a couple books to read so that I would get some knowledge about, things coming up the road, I mean, ideally.
Let's give you guys some perspective here, Chief. So you got on in the academy in 86, and you went to truck 25 in 87, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How were they riding back then? How many guys riding on the truck?
5 on the rig. We were still sitting outside. We were still standing up in the jump seats.
Uh-huh.
We were kind of on the tail end of riding the rear step and not riding the rear step. We're just starting to harnesses, SCBAs were introduced at that time, but there was still a lot of guys that didn't wear them. You still had a couple of guys that called you a pussy if you wore one. I mean, it was still that right in that era right there.
Right. So, before we get into past it, guys, any pictures from the early days in the academy or truck 25?
Actually, no, he didn't have anything, but I was trying to find something on the web now for at least a picture of the rig.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Chief, how long you remember how long it took you to catch your first job there? Like your first fire? What was that like?
You know what? I didn't have a clue. Like I said, truck 25 is in Rogers Park. It's an area of the city that has, it's the most populated area of the city per square mile in terms of the building sizes. Tall buildings, 4+1s, parking on the bottom and the apartments above them, things like that. So no, there wasn't any cameras, any of that stuff in those days. I mean, that came later on when, there you go. There's truck 25 right there. As a matter of fact, that was the rig I was on because that's at the old house. That's at the old house.
See, I'm good, bro.
Look at you, John, pulling that one out of your ass.
Say, there you go.
Hey, give that guy a job. He's pretty good.
Yeah. At what?
Right
I
there.
don't know.
They're in a new house now. Truck 102's house is in a new house now. That's the old house. That's the house I was in.
Right.
Okay? So that's why I know that was the rig I was on.
Right. So how long did it take you before you went to your first fire? Do you remember?
Probably about 3 or 4 months.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It was a good house. It was a busy house. We ran a little bit, but fire wise, guys kept telling me, "Oh yeah, you ought to stick around here, kid. It's a populated area. It's going to get busy." Let me tell you something. If I would have listened to them, I'd still be waiting for fucking fires. I mean, but in those days, our battalion chiefs had drivers still. So I used to talk to the battalion chief would come by, and he was a West Sider, and his driver was a West Sider. So I used to talk to his driver. The driver's name was Neil Malott. And I used to say, I love this place. The guys are great guys, but I'd like to get busy. I want to go somewhere busy. What do you recommend? He said, you got to go to the West Side, kid. You got to go to West Side. West Side's where it's at. You know what I mean? They're rocking. I said, okay. So once I got my year in, because we got to stay a year. Once we get assigned, we got to stay a year. So once I got my year in, I talked to him and I said, what do you think I should put in for? And he started naming off these houses. So I wrote them down and I put in a pinky. You know, my captain, Sully, he had transferred out because they were repairing the highway from the south side to the north side. We were on the north side. He was on the south side. He would drive that trek all the time to come to work. But once they started working on the highway, he said, I'm not going to keep coming this way. So he transferred back south. So once he left, it was easy for me to get the hell out of there too, you know?
Yeah.
And I was looking to get out of there anyway, but I mean, it was easier with him gone. So I bid for some spots and I got a spot on the west side, truck 29, which was phenomenal, you know, phenomenal spot. I got there. Let me tell you, that's the house of misfit toys. I mean, that was about as fucking crazy as you can get when it came to a firehouse. It's notorious. It's well known. I mean, it was what an act we had over there. That's the truck I was on, and that's the firehouse right there. And we had so much fun over there. It was everything. It was everything you could possibly want to be if you were a young guy. You know, we were
had an engine and a truck in that firehouse with you?
Engine and truck, engine 96, truck 29. There's a picture there of my officer that you got, Gonzo. We talked about it earlier, Jack.
Jack. Yeah, let me get to it. Let me scroll through.
Jack Stampy was like John Wayne. He was like John Wayne. He was just the bosses stayed away from him. He was just one of those fucking guys that, you know, I mean,
that's the guy you want.
He had a presence. Yeah, that's the guy that we wanted. That's why I said at 96's house, all the old timers were on the engine and all the young kids like myself were on the truck, you know. And with a guy like Jack, of course, we had him leading the way. Nobody fucked with us. I mean, it just that's the way it was. He was the man, you know. And of course, once in a while, we'd have to send a guy across the floor. Somebody'd have to go to the engine because we were over and they were under. So everybody get to the work as early as you can. But because we all started about the same time, we didn't have that bullshit about, well, he's the driver and he goes to the roof and he does. Whoever got in just do their stuff wherever they wanted to go. And that's what you did for the day. Me, I always liked going with the engine as a truckman because I would open up for him. You know, we had a lot of scissor gates and a lot of forcible entry on the west side because everything is locked down and barred down. So I would get off the rig and I would go with them. I always wanted to go inside. Some guys like going to the roof. Everybody had their own differences. Some guys like going to the rear. Me personally, I always liked going with the engine. But anyway, so we're there. But if you got detailed to the engine or somebody had to go to the engine, everybody would come in early because the last guy in would have to go to the engine. Right. So sometimes you get there 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. You were the last guy in and say, "Hey, Jagoff, get on the fucking."
You're like, dude, I got here 3 hours early and I'm still going to the engine.
But that's the worst thing in the world is you're sitting on the engine. They got the fucking truck gets a job. And you're sitting there and they come back and, hey, give me $5. I'll let you sniff my coat. You know?
Nice.
So what did they ride with? Did they ride with 5 too? The engine?
Yeah, they rode with 5 also, and they were a great bunch of old timers. I mean, it was a great mix, you know, because the old guys were the ones that showed us the way, taught us
right.
how. And one of the important lessons that I got out of that working with these guys was, don't worry about the shit that's not important. I mean, there's just guys that worry about stupid shit, and they were like, it didn't matter. I mean, it was almost like being in a country club. You're walking around with shorts and flip-flops and everything else, but when the bell rang, everybody went to work. That's just how it was. Nobody was crying about, hey, you don't have your uniform on. What about those socks? And blah, 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 blah. So we learned that at a very early age from these guys, and it was very true. I mean, you don't sweat the small stuff. Just do what you got to do. When the bell rings, get out there and do your job. And we learned, and it was good. It was a good learning lesson over there.
You know why that is, Chief? Because you were going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're going to work, all those little things, they don't really mean too much, even in any place, right? When you're going to fires, but it's when the fires, you know, you catch a dry spell for a while, then all of a sudden, all those little things seem to be a pain in the, you know, everybody's keying on shit that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But when you're busy,
Lou, I always said that guys that want to pimp you on shit like that are usually guys that don't know shit. So what do they talk about? They talk about stuff they know. They know about the uniforms and they know about
bullshit.
They don't. They have no tactics and they have no strategy, but they want to talk about stuff they know. So what do? They go with what they know. I know that he's supposed to have his shirt tucked in, so they got to come in and tell you something like that. They can't talk to you about anything else. You know, guys that know what they're doing don't worry about shit like that. They don't need to. You know.
How was the turnouts over there, Chief? fast?
What
The guys
do
would
you
turn
mean?
out fast? Like,
Oh yeah, we'd go out the door, brother. We'd go out the door. That was the West Side was every company out there was hardcore. I mean, going the wrong way down one-way streets, whatever it took to beat the other company in. Everybody wanted to
Sounds
beat
like
everybody in.
Brooklyn, Ruffy.
Everybody wanted to be the first one on the scene. You know what I mean? That's just how we were. I mean, blind intersections, fucking guys would fly right. I mean, it was nuts. But it went with the neighborhood. They went
drive
with the
fast, take chances, Chief. That's what we say.
That's how it goes, man.
What
I mean, you know?
what types of buildings they have over there in the West Side?
They had 2.5-story frames. They had brick houses, 2 flats, 3 flats, apartment buildings. You had a little bit of everything. We didn't have any high rises though. The only high rise we had was behind the firehouse. It was a senior house. It was a senior home, and that was I think 8 stories. That was the only one we had. You know, and I mean, there was some, like I said, there was some salty guys over there. The old timers were good guys, and I remember being in the fire and the officer on the engine, Bobby Graves. You'd be in there taking a beating, puking, and everything else. He'd have a cigarette in his fucking mouth. Come on, kid, let's go. Let's go. I mean, that's just how he wore leather lungs. He's a hardcore guy, you know. So
Yeah. Before you get too far ahead, you were talking about being the first truck in or first engine in. But what were you if you were the second truck in?
well, when I learned as I was never on an engine until I became a captain. That's when I was on an engine. So my first day. So you're jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was just trying to add it to that story.
Okay. So I was never on the pipe as a fireman because you're on the West Side, brother. You ain't gone on detail to an engine and they're giving you the pipe. There's no fucking way you'll ever have it. There's nobody's ever going to give that up. So when I'd get detailed in to jag everybody off, I'd come in, I'd say, hey, am I on the pipe today? Go fuck. You know, that wasn't going to happen.
To jag everybody off.
So, you know, you'd always say that, hey, am I on the pipe? Get the fuck out of here. You know, you're out of here. But anyway, so working with the engine guys and going in there with them, I kind of got a feel of what that was like. You know, they come in, we'd make the push. I'd be taking out windows behind them. And, you know, once we got to the fire room, they'd give it a whack, tell them to shut it down. We take the window out. So now everything had somewhere to go. Now it's got somewhere to go instead of back on us. So that's where I kind of got the feeling of that, you know, where how it works. There is actually a way that it works. We don't always know that there is, but there is. So it worked out really good. Like I said, we'd get detailed a lot. If you got detail in the battalion, it was nice. You know, everybody in that battalion was hardcore. I mean, they were really very, very good companies. And that's jumping ahead. You'll see when I retire, before I retired, I went back to that battalion. I wanted to go back and finish off where I started pretty much, you know.
Right.
I won't jump ahead. We'll get to that later.
Now you
How long
go ahead, Ruff.
How long did it take you before you remember catching your first job over there? Like
Right away. I mean, we were working pretty good over there. I mean, there's days we drop holes 2-3 times a day. I mean, we were getting some work. I mean, it was the 80s, you know.
Yeah,
and
that's always a good
and
time.
we weren't even as busy as some of the other companies in the battalion. But the one thing that offset that was the guys at 96's house were fucking tight, man. I mean, we were cohesive. We were together. We'd go to picnics together. One of the guys, if somebody in the family got married, the whole crew would go to the wedding. I mean, it was old school, you know. It was that old school mentality that some of the other houses, even though they were a little bit busier, they didn't have that. And that taking away that, I mean, you'd get some work. You were working.
That's the whole thing, man. When you're like that, I love that.
Yeah. How was the kitchen table? Rough or?
It was rough because remember. It was just a time. It was a rough time. It was the strike had happened in 80. 96's house was a big striker house. I mean, there was a lot of animosity in terms of guys coming in, who was coming in. Hey, who are that guy from? What has he done? Blah, 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 so on and so forth. Yeah, you had both crews. I mean, the third shift was coming off in the morning. I was on the first shift. You sitting on the kitchen table, and it was like I said. Not everybody would walk into the kitchen in the morning. You know.
Yeah. Shots fired. You had to have some balls.
Yeah. Well, some houses are notorious for that. You walk in and everybody's got a nickname and everybody's this and everybody's that. Look at this fuckhead. Look at what he's wearing today. I mean, you couldn't get very far in the kitchen without somebody saying something.
Is that amazing, bro? Like the kitchen table, anywhere you go.
It's universal, isn't it?
As soon as you walk in, you know it's coming, right?
It's universal.
And you know, if a guy was coming in and he had thin skin, that was like, oh man, this is gonna be so easy. See how long it takes to get him to go fucking.
Yeah, there was a firehouse when I was relieving, once I got promoted, but I just want to bring it up while I can remember. But there was a Firehouse 45's house, and the engineer was Mike Gallipo. Gallipo name is famous on the fire department in Chicago. But anyway, Mikey Gallipo was a big man, and he'd sit at the end of the couch with shorts and flip flops on, and every guy that walked in the kitchen, every guy. Look at this fucking guy. Everybody had a nickname. He had something to say about everybody. They used to call him the bully. He was the bully. He was the bully. He had something to say about everybody. He was great. I loved him. And he drove like, oh, you wouldn't believe it. 100 miles an hour everywhere.
Did you, while you were there, did you get to drive too? Or you were, I don't know what they call it there. They call it a chauffeur. What do they call it?
Well, you guys call them chauffeurs. We just call them drivers. I mean, you guys, I'm sure in New York, your engineers are also chauffeurs also, right?
Yeah, the engine and the trucks and chauffeurs.
Yeah, they're both chauffeurs, right? Okay,
yeah.
We're just the engine driver's an engineer, and the truck driver's just a driver. So
do you have to go to school for that, or?
Well, you have to get certified. So you
right.
do the training and everything else. You get certified and you can drive. But we did have days because of company pride. We wouldn't let a guy come into the firehouse and drive that wasn't part of the company.
Right.
So there was days that we didn't have a guy. We had regular guys, but you weren't certified yet.
Yeah, just company train them, right?
You still drive that day, even though you didn't have the license because you weren't letting a fucking detail guy drive your rig.
Right.
Same thing, sure. Right, Roof? Same shit. Yeah. Company pride there.
Yeah, it's that's the one thing about the fire department. It's universal, brother. We can all sit at the table and it's like we knew each other for years,
Yep. Now, what about now? You call them squads out there, right?
Yeah.
How did the trucks get along with the squads out there?
On my shift, we didn't have an issue with them. I mean, we were on the west side, so it's a lick for them to get to where we had our fires. I mean, they'd come in. You had Steve Chikarodis on your show. Steve's phenomenal guy, great guy, but he was a lieutenant on the squad on squad 2, which ran to the west side, which is where I was at. So we'd see them because we were getting enough work where they would make it in. In those days, we were getting enough work where we'd make it in, and he had a pretty good crew. I mean, they were good guys, and there wasn't a lot of chest thumping or anything of that going on. So we were okay with them. I mean, we were actually okay with squad 2 when we'd get them in, when they would actually make it, because it is a long way for them to go.
Right.
And so we didn't have an issue with them, but I know that there was other companies and a lot of guys didn't like them. A lot of chiefs didn't like them coming in,
Really?
Yeah.
Never crossed your mind to go there at all? Never interested you?
You know what? I had the opportunity. My partner in the academy, the kid I hung out with in the academy, his dad was a retired big boss. So day one in the academy that we were together, Jimmy Pearl, he knew what firehouse he was going to. He knew what shift he was going to be on. He knew the whole thing. I mean, he was pedigree. He was hierarchy, and his dad was a big guy. So anyway, he eventually got promoted. And when Steve Chikarodis got promoted, I believe Jimmy Pearl got the spot. Now, Jimmy called me and asked me, I got a spot on the squad. Are you interested in coming? And I said, Jim, I appreciate the offer, but you guys come to our fires. I don't go to yours. So why would I leave here to go there to have to drive all the way back here? In hindsight, it would have been nice because, at that time they were getting a lot of training that wasn't open to everybody,
right?
Diving and everything else. But, I mean, we were getting fires that we were having a lot of fun. So I didn't get Gonzo as a squad. It had to come to fires. Oh yeah, I'll bring that up in a minute.
All right, good.
Yeah. So anyway, so he offered it to me. I gracefully denied the request, and I stayed where I was. Now we did. This is later on, but eventually, like I said, out west. I mean, that was a rough bunch of guys. I mean, I'm sure you got them in New York. You got some battalions, or you got run battalions, right? Yeah, you got battalions that. I mean, you got some hardcore crews over there, and they're not worried about all the rescue guys and everybody else coming in because we're self-contained units. We can take care of everything ourselves.
Right.
We don't need anybody else coming in.
Right. I mean, they're like we used to say all the time. If we're going into those areas, there's not going to be much left for us to do. But if we're going to other areas where the guys aren't on the game, that's where we're going to get a bigger piece of the job. So you go in with these busy companies, unless it's a multiple, you're really not going to do much.
And especially if you're driving, if it's a far ride, right?
Right.
If you're just going
right
down the block, that's one thing.
Yeah, when I was in the 22nd Battalion, which is on the southeast side of Chicago, I would get Squad 5, which was the guys that were housed with me when I was a captain of 116. And they were the first guys to tell me, hey, if you don't need us, hold us up. We don't want to drive
Yeah,
away.
I don't want to get all the way over there.
Yeah. We don't want to drive over there to turn around and drive back. And they knew that they were probably going to get held up. And they used to tell me all the time, if we make it to 95th Street and you ain't held us up, we know we're coming in. Because I was quick to hold them up. I don't need them coming in. And they didn't want to come in if we didn't need them, you know?
Right.
So, but yeah, like I said, we didn't use them a lot. We didn't see them a lot. I mean, in the 80s, we saw them a lot. You know, they'd come in, they'd make, you know, they'd come in a little later, but they'd come in and they'd pull some ceiling and help us out. But not like in some areas that I'm sure were a lot busier in because, like you said,
right.
Not
Is
everybody.
that area still doing it, Chief? Now?
What's that?
Is that area still doing it now? Like,
Oh yeah. Oh
they're
yeah.
still doing
Oh
it.
yeah. They had a fire on. They had a fire this week, and one of my guys fell through the stairs. A good fire that they just had. I mean, it's been a busy area since I can remember. Since I was a little kid. I'm fucking 62. You know. I mean, it's always rocked. But there's other parts of the city that rock too that have been that way for a long time also.
Right.
You know? So, but that's one of them. I always call it the Bermuda Triangle. You got the West Side, you got Inglewood, and you got Roseland. If you're from those areas, you're probably a worker.
Right.
Because those are the spots where you're going to get to work. I mean, it is. Then you got South Shore. They got some good companies out in South Shore in the 23rd Battalion. But to me, the places that I always drive to go to that I ended up going to was the West Side, Inglewood, and Roseland.
Are those areas that you hear constantly now with the shootings constantly going on?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
those areas right there.
It's always been like that. And you know that. I mean, you're knocking out. Truck 29 was when they were doing a lot of EMS stuff too. They were the number one truck. They were knocking out 5,000 runs a year.
Wow.
I mean,
That's a big number for a truck.
because they were ALS, you know, they had a medic on there. We implemented that ALS program and we put medics on rigs. And if you're an ALS company at that time, I mean, they were running, you know, so we weren't doing that many when I was there because we didn't have that program in place. They started putting that in right about the time I was going to get promoted because we had a heat wave in Chicago. I can't remember what year it was, but we had a heat wave and we had the most people die during that heat wave on the West Side. So they started implementing that ALS program on the West Side initially. And then it took off and they went citywide with it. You know?
And they put them in the trucks, not the engines?
No, engine or truck. There are
okay.
trucks that are ALS that run with a EMT and a paramedic with all of the gear and the drugs and everything else, or an engine. It depends. But we have both.
Still that way today? Like the trucks are running with that?
We just downgraded like 6 rigs, you know, because I don't know. I don't know what they're spending the money on, but anyway, they just downgraded some rigs, which is, I'm surprised because if anything, we should have more rigs and more ambulances, not less. You know, we're getting so much more. We're getting so much more of that stuff than anything else.
Which I'm sure you guys. Yeah. No, the guys are definitely doing more running than anything now. You know, without a doubt.
I mean, I honestly, Lou, I didn't mind the running. I mean, there's guys that bitch and moan about running. I never minded the running because number one, if you're going to be a worker, you got to go to a working area.
You got to run. Yeah, you got to run.
If you're going to a working area, you're running.
You're
and
run.
Any off that tells you that they're getting fires and they're not doing a lot of running is full of shit because it goes hand in hand.
Right. There are those very few exceptions, Roof. Like
there are some that you do less running.
Right. A lot of 175 truck or squad 1. They don't do a lot of running, but they're good.
It's just
work
but
ratio.
Pure luck that where their house is, you know, other companies are doing more of the running. They're just tucked into an area where just by, you know, the first do work like 175. They don't run around as much. I mean, they're probably doing more running now, though. You know,
96's house was like that too because they're on the border of the city, and because everybody around them is ALS.
Right, they were all running around more.
Afraid for them was stills and kills. That's all they go on. They go on fire runs and kills.
Oh shit! Really?
Like a still alarm is a 1075, so it's stills and kills. That's
stills and kills. That's it. They didn't do a lot of frivolous stuff. You know what I mean? So,
that's cool.
But that's just how it goes. You know. But that's why I said. And another thing with us too, and I always said this all along, is when you're in a busy area, every time you get a fire call, you're ready to go. You're putting your shit on. There's none of this, we know it's bullshit when nobody gets ready. I mean, every run that you get on that's a fire run, you're prepping up. And that only makes you that much better because when they are for real, you're ready. Yeah. You know, you're not pulling up and scrambling now to get ready because you didn't get ready on the way.
Called aggressiveness. Get used to it. Remember that, Coops, when Tommy said that?
Yeah. That's what Hoppy said. It's called aggressiveness. Get used to it.
Get used to it. You told
Send
another
that to
company.
the other companies.
So yeah, like I said, so that all of that progression is what taught us, that brought us along the way, And 96, like I said, it was the house of misfit toys. I mean, we were just out of our mind over there. I mean, bosses would stay away, nobody would come around. We loved it, And
Sounds familiar, Goob.
What's that?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Oh, look at Patty Lee. In our heyday, we did 7,000 runs and 4,000.
Come on. What are you talking
Come
about?
on, the old heyday.
290 does 7,000 runs now.
Back in the old days.
Yeah.
Half
Half
of
of them are probably EMS, but
I remember the one year we did 1,000,000 runs.
back in 19. Hey, Chief, I wanted to get back to what I was saying. I know we've talked to the other guys from Chicago about it, but just to touch on it, how is it? Is the vacant still prevalent there now?
Yeah, we have them. We have them. It's we know guys on the field, guys out in the field, the blue shirts, guys in the working companies. There are no vacant buildings because all them fucking vacant buildings got squatters. You know what I mean? So when you pull up, we treat it like it's occupied. I mean, bosses tell us, hey, risk a little to save a little, blah, 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 blah. We get in there. I can't tell you how many times we get people running out of there. We pull people out of vacant buildings. You know what I mean? So we always treat them as if they're occupied. They're there. There's places that are boarded up that they find a way to get in and they're living in there and they're hanging in there. So when you get something in there, we want to get in. We want to put the thing out. That's how it works. But yes, there are. So it's areas of the city that are very, very vacant. Nothing like Detroit, of course, but there's not a lot of people.
New York is changing a little bit. I mean, we're 103, not so much, Brownsville, but there, Bed-Stuy, there's a whole bunch of yuppies.
But Kev, there's no vacants.
Yeah.
There was no vacants. It was already like stopping when I was there in 2008.
What about in the boroughs? None of the boroughs?
No, the vacants have they knocked down buildings. They had lots there for a while. But I mean, you listen. There's a vacant here or there, but every one of them in your area,
right?
Like it's not like where you have blocks of vacants anymore at all in New York City, anywhere, not even in the Bronx, nowhere.
Yeah,
very rare.
You can ride through Bed-Stuy, and all of a sudden I see like whitey whites here with some lattes walking around. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh yeah, it's really crazy. It's crazy.
I remember going to New York and people telling me that everybody was moving out to the boroughs because they couldn't afford Manhattan.
Yep.
I guess that's what filled it up, huh?
Yeah, and there's beautiful buildings out there in Brooklyn with brownstones, and so they're getting bought up, and not too many vacants anymore.
No, I mean a lot of the guys that come on the show from outside, they still have a large amount of vacants in certain parts of the city, but in New York, I would say, unless there's something I haven't seen, but very rare, like to have.
Yeah, you got to be pretty far out. For us too, you got to be pretty far out of the city, like way south or something, southeast, where it's kind of industrial, kind of. I mean, but even like I said, the West Side and Inglewood, we had a lot of vacants. But I mean, you got people moving in there. They're buying the buildings cheap and they're fixing them up and they're moving in. And the neighborhoods are changing.
Even Harlem, there's no vacant. I mean, very, very rare. You see, the real estate's worth too much. It's crazy.
If you want to live in a city, you might have to pioneer and go live in a shitty neighborhood for a while before you can.
You sure would have bought those shitty houses, right, Roof?
Holy
back then.
Shit, man! Wow.
Yeah. I know with two guys, you wouldn't be sitting at this desk right now.
Oh shit!
All right, so you go and get promoted in 97? Yeah, promoted lieutenant.
So 10 years.
Yeah. Which was good. It was good. It was a good amount of time on a fire company where I felt comfortable getting promoted. I mean, I felt that I could do this, and then my rule of thumb with all of that always is I'd look at some fucking nitwit that was in that position and I'd say, hey, if that asshole can do it, I can do it too. You know what I mean?
Roof, I never said that about you, Roof, ever.
That was my mindset. My mindset was, it's a little shaky, but you always get a phone number of a guy that you trust and a guy that you respect, and something goes wrong or something comes up, you give him a call and say, hey, I'm in this situation. How do I handle it? I mean, that's how we did it. And I got promoted. I got promoted and I went right back to the district of West Side is in the 4th district. And I went back to that district. And unfortunately, it's 4 battalions. 2 of them are solid. The other 2 are so. One of them's a little bit out there, kind of old timers that have already done their time and they're going to retire and, they're doing their thing. I mean, I relieved, but the problem was the guy that used to do the manpower in those days didn't really like anybody out of 96's house for personal reasons. So I was spending a lot of time going south, but going to really slow areas, So it just took me long enough. I mean, I actually got to the point where I wouldn't even call to find out where I was going to go the next work day until that morning of, because I didn't want to be pissed off for 2 fucking days.
I knew you were going to say that.
Somebody told me that. They said, hey, don't call until the day of. Otherwise, you'll be pissed off.
Because there's still hope that you might actually say you're going here, and you'll be like, oh, all right, whatever.
So I'd call the day off, and of course, I was still going out there. So I went to district, and I went in there, and I said something to him. I said, hey, what the fuck? I mean, Jesus Christ, I'd like to come to the fire company once in a while. Yeah, we'll take care of you. Get the fuck going. I'd be back in the same spot, So eventually I didn't want to leave the 4th district because I was from there. But then I put in for the 5th. I said, if I'm going to drive south, I'm going to drive south and go to fire companies.
Right.
Now, the 5th district was about as great as it got. But I'm going to an area where I knew guys from the academy and things like that, but I didn't know anybody out there. I mean, I'm going out there. I'm just winging it. I'm just going out there, but I know it's busy and I know there's good houses out there. And I got out there and it was like I had new life. Going there, the district was phenomenal. Good fire companies, good guys, good bosses. And I was there.
You're just bouncing around, Chief?
Dude, bouncing around for a long time. We were talking about this before.
Yeah, right? I couldn't get a spot as a lieutenant because my mindset, I'm about as fire as you can get. All I wanted to do was go to fires and be on fire companies. So I didn't put in or bid for a spot that I thought was middle of the road or slow. The only spots I would bid for were the busiest spots around, and I would always get beat out. But my mindset behind that was, if I'm relieving, I got a chance of going to those spots when they need a guy for the day. If I bid for a spot that's kind of slow, I will never go to those spots again because I'll always be at my spot. So I just kept relieving, kept trying, trying to hit the grand slam. But if I didn't get it, I just kept relieving. And my whole time as a lieutenant, I never got a spot. So I was in the 5th, and I think overall, throughout my career, I was on the road probably 17 years or more.
Wow. Holy mackerel.
But I'll tell you what, you want to learn the job, that's how you do it.
No, listen, there is a part of bouncing around. It's fun, but you want to be able to hang your hat at some point, and so
Yeah, I mean, to me, I liked it. I got to be on the pipe. I finally got to be on the pipe because sometimes you get a fire on some of these companies, and they're not too hardcore about going in. So as long as they get me the line to the door, we can go in and put it out. So I got a chance to be on the pipe as an officer. It's sad to say, but that's how it went. You know what I mean? So you learn, but you really do learn your leadership skills and the job working with different companies every day, because different personalities you're walking in. I mean, some places you walk in and everything's done. Some places you walk in and like, hey, what the fuck, it's 9 o'clock. Did anybody check out the rig? Where's the inventory? Blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, you have to.
You get to learn which is which, though, right? You know where you go, and they're like, "Oh, fuck this place."
So you weren't bouncing around 17 years as lieutenant. I think I misunderstood.
No, I was overall. I bounced around as a lieutenant. I bounced around as a captain, and then I bounced.
Oh, all right. I knew I kind of got the feel I misunderstood what you said.
Every time you get around as a lieutenant for a long time, no?
My whole career as a lieutenant, I bounced around. But every time you get promoted, you get put on a relief. You're not assigned to a spot. You don't get promoted and get sent to a spot. You get sent to a district. Yeah. And when you're in that district, you're there in that district until you bid for a spot or you transfer to a different.
But you were a lieutenant for 12 years.
Yeah.
So you bounced for 12 years.
Yeah. And then I also bounced as a captain and as a battalion chief.
So what was the spot? Like, what was the spot that you wanted more than anything? Like, above all, if you could have got it, what would have been the spot?
Truck 20 was one of them. But what ended up happening in March of 2007, Truck 51, I was telling Gonzo about this. Truck 51 had gotten in an accident. They got T-boned by a school bus, and it rolled the bus, and it rolled the rig, and it tipped it over. And one of my classmates, Billy Grant, got killed.
Oh, shit.
And I remember being at the hospital. The officer, Jerry Cambria, I told you, I got the picture for him. No, I believe it's number 4. There you go. That's my guy. That's one of my all-time favorite guys on the job. But Jerry was in the hospital. He was the officer that day when it happened. And we were all at the hospital the day it happened. Everybody went to go make sure everybody was doing fine. And we go there, and Jerry's in the hospital. And our commissioner at that time was Ray Orozco Jr. And I remember to this very day that Ray comes into the room and he says to Jerry, he says, Jerry, don't worry about your spot. Your spot is there for you when you come back. Okay, it's yours until you tell me you don't want it. That's exactly what he says to him, which is unheard of now. We don't do that now. Now the day you get hurt, you go down to medical, you sign a paper. It says 6 months, you're fucked. Your spot's gone if it's a duty. 3 months if it's a non-duty. Anyway, so Jerry's gone. He's not sure if he's coming back or not, but the spot's there for him. Ray says to him, who do you want sitting in the spot? He points to me. He goes, I want him. I sat on truck 51 for 1.5 years till he came back. You know, I bid for the spot. I didn't get it. When they opened up the spot for everybody to bid, another guy bid it for it, and he had more time than I did, and he got it. Like I said, there was truck 20, there was truck 41, truck 26, truck 20, all the working spots, all the spots that were guys that had me beat. I knew, you know, you bid for it on a wish to hope you'd get it, but you kind of knew you weren't gonna. But I'd rather not get it and relieve than get a spot that I didn't want.
Yeah, that makes, as long as you're good with bouncing, right? I mean, then you could do that. You know, like you said, you already know the guys. The guys know you. They trust you after some time bouncing through the houses. So
yeah, after a while, you've been through everything. I call it seeing the world. I got to see the world. You know what I mean? I pretty much in every firehouse of the city. So I mean, and you're there for a day, maybe 2. So you know that also. So whether it's a slow house, you're there for a day. Whether it's a big house, you're there for the day. Sometimes you get lucky, you get 2 or 3 days in a row in a good house. You know.
What about covering vacation spots? They didn't do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know that's a hit or miss too. And the problem with the vacation spots, and when I became a battalion chief and I did my manpower for my battalion, and guys love to come there, is if you put a guy in there for the furlough for the vacation, you got one happy fucking guy and 3 guys that are miserable because they wanted to go there. Now they can't because you got the one guy. Me, I'd like to give a guy a couple days, pull him out and bring another guy in for a couple days. And now everybody gets a taste. You know what I mean? Because if I make one guy happy, everybody else, now when I do need somebody and that guy that I'm using all the time ain't around, these guys are like, well, fuck you. You know, you didn't use me when you could. Now you want to use me because you can't, because you got nobody else.
You learned that from your own experience. Probably.
Exactly. I learned that from my experience. I used to say, hey, I don't want the pie. Just give me a slice.
Give me a slice. Come on.
Give me a slice, baby. Yeah. Give me a little taste. That's all I want.
A little taste. A little taste.
Just put my beak a little bit. That's all.
Yeah. That's all.
Hans, you got any other pictures up to this point that we have?
Forget about it.
Gonzo's got some pictures there.
Yeah,
as a lieutenant, I didn't really have a lot.
Oh, I have this one.
Hey, hand job.
All right, which ones do you want? Because we have. Whoops, sorry.
Not that one.
No, definitely not that one. I was looking for the watermark. We have several with Captain because he had so many. We grabbed a few from different elements.
Lieutenant, I didn't have a lot as lieutenant. Yeah, like I said, I was floating, and in those days, we didn't really have a lot of guys riding.
So the guy sent the 134 pictures. We saw one so far.
Yeah, so far.
You did a great job.
A lot of them anyway.
Way to mix them up, Gonz. Excellent.
Gonz got it, man.
You got it. I have Mo's LT. I have this one for you.
Yeah, that's my lieutenant, Jack Sampy. And the funny thing about it is when I made lieutenant, he made captain. So we both left at the same time. We left the firehouse at the same time. But like I said, he treated me like his kid. He was top shelf. I couldn't have had a better officer when I was a fireman. And it was, like I said, it was a rough spot. When I got there, there was a lot of shit going on. But you earned and I tell these young guys all the time, just do your fucking job and do it well, and guys will respect you. If you start looking for issues and problems and they're mistreating me and they talk to me bad, then you're going to have problems. Just go in and do your job. And I guarantee you, at the end of the day, guys will pick up on that and they'll start to treat you the way you should be.
Foreign notion these days. Just go do your fucking job and be responsible for your job. Yeah.
And that's the nice thing about working in busy areas is most people there are like-minded. They think the same way. They want to do the same thing. When guys are pushing you out of the way to do something, you're in the right spot. Something's got to get done. And there was a line of guys waiting to do it, or guys pushing each other out of the way so they could do it. Those are the guys I want to be with. Those are the guys I want to work with,
Chief,
So-
did you was this your lieutenant? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, this is your captain. I'm just looking at your lid here. Disregard, because I thought that was
Yeah.
your lieutenant one from
Oh,
earlier.
look at that. Rahm Emanuel.
Yeah, that was hanging out there.
Yeah.
What a jag off.
Yeah, bro.
Sorry, Coops. Go ahead, buddy.
Who was that in that picture, though? Go back to that picture. Who was
Pull
that?
it up.
Ah, shit. Hold on.
Yeah, he
lost
lost
it
it. See?
All
When
right,
you want
here
it,
we go.
he ain't
Here we go,
got it.
guys.
The
It's
guy on
there.
the left is the
Here's-
commissioner.
I have 40 pictures to go.
Guy on the left is the commissioner.
My mother,
Oh, hi, Mom.
my ex,
Oh,
my
okay.
son, my daughter, myself, and Mayor Emanuel.
Ah, all right.
So,
Ah, the meatloaf. Fuck.
Ma, meatloaf.
more meatloaf.
I don't have it. Where is it?
What?
Oh,
No,
nope.
come on, man.
Hey, Mom!
There it is.
Meatloaf! We want it now! Ma, the meatloaf!
There you go.
Hey, talking to my
Hey.
guy all wrong.
So,
All right. So
where are we, Coob?
we're up to
Jack,
captain.
Yes.
But he bounced as a captain too, right? He got promoted
Yeah.
captain in 2009.
2009, I made captain. I made the big leap. I stayed in the same district. I relieved a little bit there, but as a captain in Chicago, they have a tendency to sit you somewhere. They don't let you float from day to day unless we got a real big abundance of captains, but that normally doesn't happen. So I initially got promoted. I got sent to truck 50 and 129th house, which is a very, very good firehouse. Good. I was lucky to be there. I had a guy there, Jason Locke, who eventually I recruited to come and work for me at 116, who was just a phenomenal guy. He runs the dive program for the department now. And I had him, and he was assigned to the engine, but he drove the truck. And I'd get it there in the morning, and everything would be done. I mean, I didn't have to do a fucking thing. And I used to tell him all the time, if I ever get a spot, I want you to come to work for me. I used to tell him that all the time. I mean, here's a guy that knew everything. I mean, he was a bull. He was a bull. He had hands like a grizzly bear. I mean, big, strong, Marine, hardcore guy. So
Nice.
anyway, so I got to work there. I bid for that spot, and I got beat out of that spot also. So then I'm sitting in a slow firehouse one day, and the chief calls the firehouse for something, and I'm on the phone with him. I answer the phone, and I said, "Hey, are you doing the manpower?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do me a favor, send me to engine 122's house." He goes, "You want to go there?" Now, 22 was the busiest engine in the city. Not so much at that time, but they were still very busy. I said, "Yeah, I'd like to go there." He said, "Why?" I said, "They don't have a captain. If you send me there, I'll never leave." He goes, "All right." So he stuck me there. I ended up doing about 6 months over there. And we were running. We were getting some fires, and we were doing some work over there. So I was good. I sat there for a little bit. Then I bid for that spot. I got beat. I ended up going to sit at another spot that I got beat at also. So then I called my district chief, and I said, "Hey, 116 is open." The captain there, Sean Burke, he was going to get promoted, but he was also doing something. I don't know if it was at the academy or somewhere else. So he wasn't there. And the engineer over there, Jack Sarge, he's calling me up, and he's telling me, "Hey, you ought to put in for the spot. We'd like to have you over here," blah, 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 so on and so forth. I said, "Okay." So I called my district chief, and I said, "Hey, boss, I'd like to go sit on 116. He said, No, I'm going to put you on a truck." So I had to go above his head, and I called somebody I knew, and I said, "Hey, I'd like to go sit on 116. He said, "All right, no problem."
Who'd you
Put me
call?
on
The
116.
fixer? The
Huh?
fixer?
Suckholing. I was suckholing. You know what I'm saying?
You got caught suckholing. Look
Hey.
at this.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Hey, Chief, I want to
gotta
go to
make-
work. 16.
Well, you're on
Making
the
it rain
spot. You
semen.
know about that.
You know about that, Cooby.
You know about
know.
that, Coop.
Touche.
Hey, you've had the fucking knee pads on. Don't lie.
I don't need knee pads.
You ain't
man. I'm
lying.
short.
You go hardcore,
I don't
bearskin.
need short. I don't need knee pads. I'm short.
I've never done this before.
There you go. Or skiing.
Skiing.
I went skiing.
You hit the jump.
Right,
When you hit the
right.
jump, it's like,
But anyway, so I wanted to go to 116 because I was going to bid for the
friend.
spot.
Yeah,
I wanted to go to 116 because I was going to bid for the spot, and I knew I had a good chance of getting it. By then, because a lot of guys stay away from those kind of places. You're knocking out 5,000 runs a year. A lot of guys don't want to go there. So I had a good feeling I was going to get the spot, and then Jack's calling me up, telling me, we would like to have you over here, so on and so forth. So anyway, I make the call, I get put over there. I'm sitting over there, and I'm sitting there in a phenomenal spot. It's with Squad 5. Squad 5, there you go, 116 Squad 5. It's on Ashland Avenue. It's in the heart of Inglewood. One of the busiest engines in the city year in and year out. So, and that Squad 5 is the busiest squad fire-wise. That's a legitimate working squad for fire. That's their specialty, fires. So
you would do it
over there. And yeah, that was the definition of doing it over there. I mean, that was there you go. We give every time out the door, it was a chance. It was a good one. So
there's no trucking with you, just the squad.
It was just the engine and the truck and an ambulance. We had an ambulance. And but I mean, I'm sorry, the engine, the squad, and an ambulance.
The squad had first two boxes as a truck company?
Yeah, they would go out. They had a still district just like we did, an area that they covered. So anytime you got sent on a fire run, they'd go automatically. So they were kind of like our truck because we didn't have a truck. We didn't have a truck within a square mile of us. So when they were out, and that's where I honed my skills. Being a truck guy, I always had a Halligan. So because my crew was such a phenomenal crew there that when we pulled up on the scene, I would just get off the rig with my bar and go try to force entry on the door and try to find a fire. And I knew that line was coming. I didn't have to say a fucking word to any of my guys. I knew it was coming. I just had to find a way to get us in and where we had to go. So that was the nice thing about it. So like I said, I opened more doors as a captain of an engine than I did any other time in my career.
What was the makeup of the company there? You have any young guys, a lot of senior guys, good mix?
Well, Jack was the senior guy there. He was an old timer, but it was all young guys. And the only thing with 116 is because they're housed with the squad.
Right.
Some of your young guys and some of your studs are going to move over across the floor.
Yeah, they go across the floor.
Squad. You're going to lose them. You know what I mean? And that's what ends up happening. You get these guys like my guy Jason from Truck 50 that I had recruited to come to 116. He did come, but within a year, they picked up on his work ethic and they recruited him and they got him. Here he is right there. The guy's if bottom row, he's third from the left. And then Justin, who's the guy next to him, was my medic on 116, which was an ALS engine. He's on Squad 5 also.
They
steal
them away.
They see the squad is going to more work, right? I mean, even though you guys were going to work, they're getting the first do work and they're getting, the other jobs as well. So
yeah, but and you know what the nice thing about the squad and really is they don't do a lot of frivolous running. I mean, they don't do ambulance calls, they don't do invalid assist, they don't do
so it's a home run.
Gas investigations. They do none of that bullshit. They do fires, they do hazmat, they do pin-ins. They do caught machinery, things of that nature. So they're not doing a lot of running like some of these companies are. I mean, we're running 25 runs a day, and they might go out 3 times a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the difference. I mean, it does take an ass kicking on you after a while when you're knocking out 4 or 5 after midnight.
Those are dog years, Chief.
Yeah.
You do 25 runs in a 24. It's like dog years.
7 years in a year.
Yeah. And the 25 aren't bad. It's just getting them after midnight what kicks your ass.
Yeah. Well, you know what I used to hope for if I went to a job early in the 24, everything else was gravy. I wouldn't give a shit about anything. I wouldn't care because I already had a good job under my belt. It's when you start out and you're doing so much BS for, and you got 15 under your belt and midnight's rolling around and you're like, holy shit, man, this is not going to be good. It's going to taste like shit, but usually get one job or something in between there somewhere. But
yeah, well, with us, like I said, if I knocked out 15, we had a good day. That was easy.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
That was a good day, and guys are like, oh, that was a pretty good day. How many we do? You start counting. You did 15.
What's crazy for me is when I was at 290, I did 5,500 runs. I can't even imagine that they're doing like over 7,000 runs now. I can't even imagine.
290's doing over 7,000 now?
Oh, yeah. There's a couple engines on the job doing over 7,000.
Are they doing fire duty?
I mean, they're still going to work, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it now is probably EMS. It's probably a couple thousand EMS runs too with that, you know. So.
Oh yeah, well, we did a lot of EMS runs, and I had a guy come up to me one day and said, "Well, fuck 116, you guys do too much running." And I said, "Well," he goes, "You do too much running for getting a fire." And my question to him was, "Well, how many fucking runs do you think you should do before you get a fire? What's a lot of runs to you?" He said 100. I said, "We do 100 a week." I said, "So somebody, one of the 3 shifts is dropping line once a week." To me, I'm okay with that. That's a fire company. You know, we're getting some work. Maybe it's not my shift. Sometimes it's all 3 shifts. But 100 runs is nothing. I mean, you're knocking out, like I said, sometimes you're knocking out 20, 25 runs a day. I mean, come on.
Right.
It's part. You got to take the bad with the good. If you don't, you're fucked. You know, you're not going to, you can tell everybody you're doing a lot of work, but we all know better.
Yeah. If you want to go to work, you got to put up with some shit. That's all.
Right. I think that's probably nationwide. I think any place you go, the frivolous runs go with the fires.
Yeah.
Just the makeup of the areas. You know, that's where.
How many guys were in the squad company?
6. They run with 6.
So how many on the roster? So it would be 18 guys?
They had more because you had guys that would go on daily and furlough and stuff like that. So they probably have about 10 guys on the roster per shift. And then they detail them out because some of the other squads might be short.
Right. So you got 30 guys on the roster.
On the squad alone.
Yeah.
And then you got another, probably 116 was always overloaded. I like to have 2 medics on every shift only because one of them would be out, but every time that I needed a medic, it would be one of my own guys.
Right.
Because when you get a guy coming in, they don't always check out the medical box. They don't always do what they're supposed to do. And if the shit hits the fan, you know, expired drugs or something like that, it's because somebody didn't check it out. My guys, having a guy assigned to the rig, I knew all the time that my guys were going to do what they had to do.
How was
cool.
How was the daily firehouse life with the squad? You guys get along? You cook meals? You eat together?
It was great. It was great. As a matter of fact, our shift, the cook was a squad guy, so it was nice. So when we went out the door with 5 guys all the time with a full shift. When you had the engine cooking, you were running 25 times a day with 1 guy short because he stayed back because he was cooking unless it was a fire call. Right. You know what I mean? Now, I can say this now because I'm off the job, but when I was at 116, we never turned our lights and sirens off. I mean, we ran with them all the time. I mean, that's just how we did it.
Right.
And I remember one time we had actually gone to get fuel. So we were out of our district, out of our area, and we missed a fucking fire around the corner from the firehouse. I said, that'll never happen again.
Never happen again.
It'll never happen again, brother. And it never did.
Because you know what? I just did 20 runs, and that was supposed to be my job that I was supposed to have for all that bullshit I just went through. And I fucking missed it. Screw that shit.
So we said, forget it. We'll never miss a run again because we're going to get fuel. That's for sure.
I'm not saying that I could have been on an EMS run or on an elevator or something, and the job was.
We'll be right back.
And, listen, just stay here. The ambulance will be right here. Allegedly, I don't know. It could have happened.
Hey, I can relate to that. I see them down the block. They'll be here in about 30 seconds. I think we'll be okay.
You guys didn't have fuel pumps in the firehouse?
No, we did at one time, and they removed them all. So we had to drive to get fuel.
Really?
And that was part of the problem because where we had to drive to was a good 2-3 miles away, and you know,
I never knew that, Rich.
Yeah, you see that, Coops? 290 did just under 2,300.
Timothy Collette.
Timmy Collette 62 did 7,220 runs. So do the math on that.
When the Wizard of Water says something, the Sultan of the Standpipe, the bro of H2O, you best believe he's on it.
The bro of H2O.
The bro that's my favorite one. The bro
like
of
H2O. So we'd have to go get fuel, and you pretty much had to go get fuel every day. So we like to run, and this I shit you not. So we ran with the lights and the sirens on all the fucking time, going back to quarters, everything. We kept them on the whole time. And we never got in an accident. We never got in an accident the whole time. So now somebody gets a wind of what we're doing. You know, we get these guys coming in from other firehouses, and they go back and tell everybody, hey, you know what these fucking guys are doing over there. And of course, now I'd get a phone call. Hey, I heard you guys are doing that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Right. So now we get caught.
Told you that.
We get caught, we get caught and we get the call. Hey, you gotta shut it down. We shut it down 2 accidents in 1 year. You know what I mean? As soon as we shut it down, we get T-boned. We get T-boned by some fucking
I knew you
drunk.
were going to say that too. I knew you were going to say that.
And it happened, you know. I mean, and I shit you not, it happened. For forever, we ran that way, and it worked
wasn't
out
me.
good.
It wasn't me. Hey,
But
you
we
guys
would
run
always-
into what you liked. It wasn't me.
We had such a good push out in that firehouse. I've never been to a firehouse that had a better push out than 116. And I shit you not. I mean, we ran to the rig full speed. We were out the door. I don't care where the fire was. It could be in front of your firehouse. We were going out the door as if it was ours. And we went and we ran. And I can tell you right now, I'd get a detail guy coming in. I'd say, if you're slow to get dressed or you're slow, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to watch us pull out, or you're going to get on the rig without your gear, because we ain't waiting for anybody. That's how it goes.
290 material here, Ruff.
And that's what we do. And we did it. And
I used to
I
tell
tell you
the
what,
covering officer, if the guy was covering, coming in, I'm like, have you worked here before? He's like, no. I mean, I'm like, you know how they turn out here, right? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, don't take the stairs.
yeah, you guys call it turnout. You guys call it turnout. We call it push out.
Yeah,
you know.
push out.
And I'll tell you what, that push out was just, it was insane. And it was every shift. It was every shift went out the door like we wanted to steal everybody's fucking.
Chief, it did not matter what type of box it was. It didn't matter. It was the same turnout for every run. Guys broke, they're racing through the streets with the gas leaks and all that shit. And I get it. They did change the turnout, like second due gas leaks. You went in on a 1020, which was without lights and sirens, right? But that was citywide. But modified response, right? But the guys turned out the same. I have to say, similar to what you said, they turned out the same. There was no room for thought. It was just, we're doing it this way. This is how it's always been done. And that's what they always did. And it didn't matter what the box was, because they assumed it was the worst every time. You know what I mean? And
that's how it was.
Guys took pride in that. They
company
really
pride. Put some pride back in that company.
Any fire call that we had, everybody on the fucking rig was getting dressed. Everybody was getting dressed because we just knew. And sometimes you could see the smoke, sometimes you couldn't. But I could tell you what, as soon as we got there, everybody got off the rig and went to work. And we had the squad with us too. And they were right there.
Who the hell's that guy?
That's me.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn, he's salty. He's this right here.
We should have used that picture.
Boom.
There you go. Right there.
Oh shit! Yeah, I found that one later.
Put that one back up, Ruffy. I mean, Gonzo.
Look
Look at that guy. Shit. What temperature you putting that helmet in the oven at, bro? Come on.
Hey, I can tell you right now, there's no fucking oven with that helmet.
Come on.
Come on. Here we go. Look at this.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Look at the little Christmas lights on there.
Hey,
yeah, I love
Christmas
it.
Lights? It's always Christmas in Inglewood, brother.
Hey.
You know what? You might be more hard charging than Crooker was, bro. I don't know, man.
Well, we're cut from
very
the same
competition
cloth,
here,
Crooker, man. We worked a lot of places together.
I was going to ask you,
those guys. A lot of those guys, when he was on your show that he was talking about, are guys that I work with also.
All right.
We stomped the same ground together. We definitely did. And when I went to the 22nd, he'd be my safety chief. He'd be coming in on my
Gonzo, when you put that picture of you up there, this is what Mitch wrote. Whose kid is that?
Still breaking balls, Chief. Still breaking
balls. I love him. Crooker's out of his mind, man. He's out of his mind.
He is shot. So why did you even go and study then to become chief? You had the greatest spot in the world.
I got one for you. So now we study. I get involved in this study group. These guys are phenomenal. I mean, every fucking test they've taken, they haven't taken a promotional exam that they haven't had to wait to get promoted, because you got to have so much time in grade before you can move up. Now, Pat Keogh and Timmy Walsh and the rest of these guys that I was studying with, every promotion they took, they had to stay in rank for so much time before they got promoted again, because that's how sharp these guys were. They studied year round all the fucking time. Right. I mean, I was happy that they allowed me to be in their study group. I felt like the dunce in the class, the dummy, But anyway, so now we get together. We start studying. We started studying for the captains together. They were studying hardcore. I went to one of their study groups and I walked out there and I was fucking embarrassed. I walked out there. I said, Jesus Christ, I'm like I'm like the special ed kid over here. You know, I'm licking the windows on the short bus, and these guys are over there rattling off answers and doing everything else. And it embarrassed me. I got a little pride. It embarrassed me. I said, I got to study, because if I'm going to hang out with these guys, I can't go in there and embarrass myself. So I started studying. But I was on the old captain's list. Now they kept threatening to take the captain's list down, and they kept calling me and telling me, you got to take the promotion. If you don't take the promotion to captain, we're taking the list down. And they kept it up long enough that I knew I was going to get promoted. I said, you're going to have to promote me off this list anyway, because we have this thing on the fire department that you have merit promotions. And the way it's written is a merit promotion is, you know, whether you want it or not. Sometimes they do it to jag you off. Sometimes they do it because you're a suckhole. But chiefs are allowed to put certain names on the list. And out of that list, when we were using merit, we don't use it anymore. But when we were using merit, some guys would get promoted based on merit, not where they landed on the test score. You had to pass the test, but you didn't have to be at the top. Anyway, so if they use merit, fortunately for us, when the union negotiated with the city on merit, we didn't want it, but we had it. What they wrote into that was, if you use merit on a promotional list, based on the number of people that are promoted off of that list, you have to promote. The merit was 10%, then it went to 16. So at 16%, you have to promote 16% of the total number of people you promoted off the list in rank order. So if I promoted 300 people off that list, I got to promote 48 guys more at the end of the list in rank order before I can tear that thing down, which is a good deal, you know? So as long as that list kept going and they used merit, which they did, now the numbers start coming to where they got to get to me anyway. So I said, it's going to be up long enough. So I told the guys that I was studying with, I said, thank you for allowing me to join your study group, but I'm going to take my chances on the old list. So I did, and I got promoted off the old list. Eventually, these guys, they gave the new test. These guys all got promoted right away. They had to wait. They had to wait to get promoted because, of course, they were so sharp that they always had to get time and grade. So anyway, long story short is, now guess where I land on that jag-off list?
Third?
Yeah. So I get the call. One of Jeff Springer, who's like 215. He's
There
like
he
the
is.
number 3 guy out of the department.
There you go.
Jeff calls me and says, hey,
suckhole, guess where you landed?
no, he said, hey, you did really good. He said, you did really good. Get ready to move up. And I said, I don't think I'm ready to go. He said, come on. I said, I'm telling you right now, I don't think I'm ready to go. I'm not going to go. He goes, you got to be fucking kidding me. And I said, no. So we have a waiver system in the city of Chicago at this time. They keep fucking with it, but at this time, at this moment in time that I'm talking about, if you filled out a waiver, it was valid for 6 months. Okay, so for 6 months, I can turn down the promotion. You get 3 waivers. The first 2, on the third one, if you don't take it, they take you off the list. Okay, so I fill out the first one. I fill it out. I don't want to take the promotion. I figure I only need 4 years as a battalion chief to get the pension. So what's the rush to take it? You know, I still got a few years left. So I turn it down. I'm on 116. I'm having a blast. I'm getting some work. I'm hanging out with some good guys. I mean, what more can I ask for, right? So now they call me again. That's part of my group. I had I got about 3 pictures of my crew, because every picture's got different guys. I think I had a total of 7 or 8 guys on the crew total. And I had a girl. I had Chrissy also, Chris Arnowski. I think I got a picture in there of her also, where she's with me when the one that we looked at where the chief was, it was his last day.
Which one? Because we have a couple last. You have the beat Terry Casey.
Yeah, Terry Casey's last day. That one right there. That's Chrissy. She was there. Let me tell you, she's got more fire duty than probably 80% of the guys on the fire department.
Really?
Yeah, she probably did. I can tell you at least 16 years on 116.
Wow.
And she was there before I got there. I inherited her. And the captain that she had before that was just as tough on her as I was. And I can tell you right now, she took it. She took it, and she'd get in there, and we'd make her work, and we'd push her in there. And she never, ever, ever bailed on anybody. And she was on the pipe. She was on the line. She'd make the hydrant, whatever you needed her to do.
Good for her.
She's still working, Chief?
Oh, yeah. She just made lieutenant.
Great.
Good for her.
Nice.
She's as tough as they get, brother. She's as tough as they get. I used to tell her all the time, I'll take you over 80% of the fucking guys on the job.
Hell yeah.
Nobody
Moves
cares,
all the
Chief.
time. I don't care.
Nobody
Nobody's on
cares.
that line. Who gives a shit? What do you
I
have
mean,
in your life?
I've been fortunate enough for the women on the job to work with some of the best. I mean, I have, because we had Nicole at 62, we had Teresa at 62, which are 62 is a working company. I had both of them there, and they both carried their weight.
You
I
had
had
Mitch.
Tara at engine 95. Tara's as bad as they get, man. She's as tough as they get, and you got guys on the job that you can't get them to get in the fucking door.
Yeah.
We had a phrase that I always use. There you go. Those are the two. Nicole is on the left and Tara's on the right. One's on engine 62, the other one's on engine 95. And I'll take both of them any day of the week, because they're as badass as you can get.
Ain't no field taking any day of the week.
I know.
Ain't doing on the list.
If they retire, we got to get them on the show.
Yeah. But like I said, so when I came on in 86, I was in the first class that had women. We had 20 women in our class. That was the first class that the fire department ever hired. So we had 20. We had a couple that were pretty good. A couple not so good. But I mean, that's the nature of the makeup of any class.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. You get some good and some not so good too with men. So
yeah, and well, no, I said that too. I said, when I hear guys talking shit about women, I'm like, we got a lot of fucking guys that are loads on this job. You know what I mean? So I mean, you're knocking them because they're women, but I mean, what's your excuse? You know what I mean? But anyway, so now they call me. They tell me, we're gonna promote you to chief. I said, I'm not in a rush to make chief. I'm okay. So I fill out this waiver. So personnel calls me one day and they say, well, we're gonna promote again. You want to move up? I said, no, I think I'm gonna stay where I'm at. And they tell me, okay, well, you got to fill out another waiver. So now it becomes a little argument. I said, well, I think I got some time left on that waiver I filled out, because it's a 6-month waiver. So it's valid for 6 months. She goes, I don't know. She goes, I don't know. I think it's expired. I said, well, I think it's good. I said, she goes, well, I'm going to check. I said, well, you check and I'll check and we'll go from there. If I got to fill one out, I'll fill out the second one. If I don't, then I'm staying where I'm at. So of course, I call the union, contract enforcement looks it up. He says, don't fill out shit. He goes, she called you 6 days to the fucking date of when you filled out the first one. Just they didn't timestamp it for 3 days. So I just fell in under the knife. You know what I mean? I can stay. So I stayed. So then the next promotion, when it came down the line, they called me again. I filled out the second waiver. And I got 2 more years on my company from doing that. So I wasn't, like you were saying, I was in no rush to get promoted. I'm having a lot
like that.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
But now in that class, when I went down to the academy in that class, one of those chiefs was going to go to the Fire Prevention Bureau, which is inspections. It's you're not out in the field. You're doing inspections. You're on an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day, and you're doing inspections. Or actually, as a chief, you're running the office. You're not doing inspections, but you're the guy that's in charge of the guys doing the inspections. So now there's a chance somebody's going there. I mean, I think there's 18 guys in the class, 19 guys in the class. One of us is going to the bureau. Now I'm thinking, because I jag him around a lot, that I'm going to be the guy,
So you got to call a fixer again.
What?
You got to call a fixer again.
Hey, that don't work, brother. So anyway, what I did was I went down there. And I didn't turn any of my shit in. They came with the badges and all the other stuff. I said, I ain't turning anything in. And I called my buddy, Mikey Tobar, who runs the commissary. And Mike is a West Side fireman. I mean, he's a real fireman. I call him up. I said, Mike, I'm not turning anything in. I said, I'm not trying to jag you around, but I'm waiting till the vacant or till the transfer or the promotional order comes out and it says where we're going to be assigned to. Because if I'm assigned to the bureau, I'm turning down the promotion and I'm going back out in the field as a captain. I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen. I don't have enough time to do that. I don't got that many years of my career left to go sit there and sit in an office.
Be a pension pusher.
10 hours a day. So I didn't. I stayed and I waited. And when the order came out and it said I was citywide relief, then I turned my shit in and I took the promotion.
Look at this guy, bro.
I
don't know if we ever had a guy who's more about the fire than this guy, bro.
Nah, you probably have. You had some fucking hardcore guys.
I don't know, bro.
But anyway, that's what it was. I mean, to me, it was about that. That's what I came on the job to do. I didn't know that I came on the job to do that till I did it. But once I did it, there was no doubt in my mind what it was about, brother. That was it. I'll take the ass kicking to get the fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just how it went. And so now I take the promotion to battalion chief. So now I'm a battalion chief. I'm floating citywide. Of course, now we're going all over the city because they want you to see what every area is like, so on and so forth. One of my buddies, Stevie Dodovich, called me. He's a battalion chief. He was in the battalion chief class with me. And he says to me, he says, I got bad news for you. He goes, I'm hearing that they're going to start keeping us close to where we live. Well, I live on the north side. North side's slow. It's, I'm sure you got neighborhoods that are fireman neighborhoods that are decent neighborhoods that don't get a lot of fire do over there if you work right in that area. So I said, well, I don't know why the fuck they're going to do that. I've been citywide my whole career. I got no problem driving to the south side. So I pick up the phone and I call and I said, hey, is this true or not? I mean, rumor has it that you're going to keep us close to home. Guy says, yeah, it don't make any sense to send a south side or north and a north side or south. I said, look, the helmet shield says citywide. I said, I've been working all over the city my whole career. I got no problem going south. I know where I have to go if I want to get fired. Okay, well, they don't care what I say, obviously. So now I'm spending my time on the north side, and it was great. I mean, they're great firemen, good houses, good guys. They treat you well. But what experience are you getting? You're not doing it, So now I make the call, and I said, hey, once again, I don't want the pie. Just give me a slice. Once in a while, throw me a decent battalion. Let me get some work. Let me do something. Let me learn something. That's the only way I'm going to learn. I ain't going to learn by sitting in slow houses. So, of course, yeah, don't worry about it. Now I'm still up there. Finally, I just wrote an email, and I said, look, I want to go to someplace decent. I crawl down these fucking hallways in these jag-off neighborhoods. Once in a while, put me in there. And then it did. But true to form, now I'm at a fire. I fall down the stairs. I rupture my quad, and I'm laid up. That was later.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's freaking awesome.
I'm like, wow, God, holy shit.
Look at the glow. Look at the glow behind him in that picture.
That was a good fire, man. That was a good one.
Oh, I love it.
So anyway, I get hurt. Now I'm gone. Now I'm gone. I only got hurt twice on a job. I was only laid up twice. Once I fell off a roof prop and I broke 3 ribs and bruised a kidney. That was the first time I was off. And that was with 31 years on the job. And then the second time was at a fire. I slipped down the stairs and I hit my knee and I ruptured my quadricep. And I was off for 4 months on that. And that was it. That was all I got. Crooker got me beat. He had no time.
His file looked like this. That's how thin his file is.
Yeah, well, when I went there with 31 years on, she said to me, she goes, we don't even have a file on you. And I said, if everything went well, you would never have a file on it.
Yeah.
That was the goal. You know what I mean? You don't want to be down at medical. Nobody does.
Crazy though, man. That's crazy.
So I get hurt. I'm off for 4 months. So now I was starting to get decent routes again. And of course, now you get hurt. Now you go back to square one again. So 22nd Battalion opens up. It happens to be one of the 3 spots that I always wanted to go to, West Side, Inglewood, Rosen.
Outside.
Rosen opens up. 22nd Battalion, all 3 spots. All 3 guys are going to leave. Guys are calling me from the second shift, Duke, Skarnovic, Joe Knurk. Guys, the captain of the engine and the lieutenant on the truck, they're calling me up. Hey, put in. We want you to come here. We want to get you here. We'd like to have you come and work with us. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I put in. I end up getting the spot. I go out there. Phenomenal. I'd never been out there. Didn't know anything about the Still District. Didn't know anything about anything. All I knew is if they're telling me to go there, that's the place I want to be. Both of them are hard chargers, and I know that's where I want to go. So I went out there. I worked with them, and had a lot of fire out there. I mean, it's a great house. 62's house is a great house. 93. So we did some good work. Unfortunately for me, in my opinion, they ended up building a new house, a giant house. It's got 2 engines, a tower ladder, 2 ambulances, a field chief, a district chief, a deputy. I mean, they're running everybody in the neighborhood out of there, But they moved them
further away from the work.
Closer to the work.
Oh, closer to the work.
And the problem with that is now every time you get an incident, you got a big boss showing up because it's an easy drive for them.
The white wave.
They show up. It's easy. When they were far away, they don't get in the car and they come. But when they're close, it's an easy thing. They got to go out so many times a day. So, hey, if it's a mile away or 4 blocks away or 5 blocks away, I get in the car. I can write that down. I did something that day. Well, some of us don't like big bosses around.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, this is
I know
one
the
of them.
feeling.
This
You
guy.
know, I mean, so there you go.
That's why you don't like him around.
What is that? Oh, cool.
That's his. Go ahead, Chief. Tell him what they're called. But we
Yeah, we call flow companies crow outfits because they sit
remember
on
the crow.
fence
The whole
and
thing
they
we
crow,
went through. Yeah.
You know,
Why
they
is it a
crow.
crow?
Huh?
Why do they call them crows?
Because what do crows do? They sit on the fence and go, caw, caw, all fucking day, right?
All right, there
So,
you go.
The phrase is a crow outfit. That's a crow outfit. You're telling
Yeah.
guys you don't want to
I-
go. You won't be doing shit.
Couple of crows, man.
Yeah.
Good old.
They
cat
had a
joke,
fire.
but-
They had a firehouse that the old timers that were there actually had a T-shirt. That I don't know if it said cross or what it said, but it was a fence and it had all crows sitting on the fence and they had their name on each one of the fucking
That's
crows.
cool.
It's awesome. You know.
Somebody wrote this here, Chief. What is, not that one. Hold on a minute. From your number
one
one
engineer
at
62.
62.
Yes, Chucky Aglinski. If you show that kitchen table at 62's house, there's a couple pictures from 62's house. I downloaded a picture of the kitchen table. That's
Wow, he
phenomenal,
did
isn't
that?
it? No,
That's
he didn't do
phenomenal.
that, but here's another picture that he's got up. He's a tattoo artist. He does
Hmm.
tattoos, and he did another picture that's in the kitchen. You got it there somewhere.
Let me go
It's
look
gotta
at
be
for it.
close
Give me a
to
minute.
that one. But it's a skull with everything else,
Yep.
pretty much with if you
Oh,
can't
roof.
think the
You know
heat.
how to draw skulls.
But Chucky was a phenomenal engineer. He's one of those guys that, even though he was sending the water, he was pulling hose, he was leading out lines, he was doing whatever had to be done to help the crew.
Oh, not that one. Let me take that off for right now. Give me a second. I came
You
across
find
this
it?
one, but that's not the one you wanted to do, right?
That's not the one, but I like that one.
I don't know what those two guys were doing on the line.
That's why I was
Hey,
that?
you know what they were doing.
But there's a story behind that. But yeah.
There's a story behind that one.
Oh, shit.
But anyway, so
All right, while you're looking it up, give me the story behind that, Gons. Then
Well,
Okay.
I'll pull that one up. Let me go back to that one so you can go ahead and let him tell that story because I have to search for that. There's not
I
enough
was
picture
telling him,
space.
I said, isn't that typical? A lot of guys, hey, you a fireman? Yeah, so am I.
How you get promoted in certain places.
Hey, I got thrown in Facebook jail for putting that thing up.
Oh. Well, hold on a
fucking
second.
awesome.
I'll get that off in just a second. I'm trying to find. You said it was 132, Chief. Do you have a number handy? Because I
Yeah, it was
there was a-
88A to 88C.
Okay, I got it.
yeah, well, it ain't that one. I hope
No.
you guys are better artists than that.
That ain't on the kitchen table or in the kitchen.
88A. Okay, hold on. I think I got
It's
it.
like stick figure.
Yeah, sorry. Boom. Okay, we have that one with the skull in the
That's the
background.
one. That's the one in the back. You see a poster in the back?
Oh, yeah.
And you make that bigger, Gons, or
Yeah,
no?
he made
No,
that.
it's as big
He
as I
made
can
that.
get it.
There's one
Says
that's
if you
closer to that.
can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah. And then if you go further down with the pictures, there's one for my
I can't even
60th
see that. You
birthday.
can read that, Roof?
Yeah, it was
I had
hard
the
to
whole
read.
battalion.
My spectacles.
88A, and then what was the other one?
It goes all the way. It's 88A, B, C, and then 89.
Okay, here we are. 88B. I have. Let me pull this one up. Hold on a second.
Can you believe that the picture number is 88?
No, there's a lot more than that. There's a lot more than that.
I
I'm
love
telling
it.
you.
I love it. I'm like, this guy's he's crazy. Yeah. Nice.
That was the kitchen. We finally got some decent cabinets. We were one of the last firehouses that actually got metal cabinets. We had the old wooden ones.
Huh.
They finally redid the kitchen. But
All
anyway,
right.
Chucky made that poster in the back. The guy that was the engineer, he made lieutenant. He's a lieutenant on Tower 24 now. Great
Oh,
guy.
cool.
Great guy. Phenomenal guy.
Oh, there you go.
He drew that up,
Get out of our kitchen. That's pretty cool.
you know.
Oh, get out of our kitchen. Nice.
I have to get that guy's number, Ruffy. Maybe he can do some shirt designs for us.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he does some great stuff. He really does. He's really a great tattoo artist. Him and
Nice.
him
Nice.
and the big toe. The driver
Oh,
of
Where is
Sergeant
it?
driver of Tower 14. The big toe.
The big toe.
But I'll get to him in a
Sergeant
few too.
So,
So anyway, so I go to the 22nd, and it was aces. It was everything I thought it was. Now we were talking earlier about places that don't do a lot of crazy running but get fire. That was that area over there because they're in a part of the city that they have a lot of vacant lots now because houses that were vacant would get torn down. So they got a lot of vacant houses, and they're not doing a lot of crazy running, but they're getting fire duty.
Right. So then how do you wind up in Battalion 18? That's where you finished off?
Yeah, I finished off over there because I consider my career to start when I got to the west side, and there was a vacancy over there. So I figured I was going to go back home before I retired, back to where I was from. And it's funny because I don't know, you guys probably go through the same thing with the fire department, but when I was on the south side, they'd ask me how the west side firemen were. And to jag them off, I'd always say, "Oh man, they're the best in the fucking city." You fucking jag off. And then when I was on the west side, they'd say, "How are those south side guys?" I said, "They're the best in the fucking city." They go back for you fucking jag off. Yeah. It would drive them nuts. It would drive them nuts because you tell them, So, but all of those spots that I ended up going to and working with, they were all hard charging, great guys. I mean, I could give you guys that would make the show great, guys that you're looking for, because we have them, they're there. But like you say, if you're waiting for them to not get in trouble, I understand that too,
Yeah, we don't like to get guys on.
Yeah, I can see that.
Still working. Yeah.
How many times have I said today?
We call the wrong guy a jagoff, you can cost them their career. Hey, I wanted to ask you, Chief, who took your spot at 116?
Let me remember now. A guy named Chris Arroyo. Took my spot.
Still there?
No, he's actually retired before I did. I think he was only there for a couple years and then he retired. And then I think a guy named Moose that actually started with me, he was there for a while. They haven't had anybody there that long. Sean Burke that was there before me was there for a while. I was there for a while, and I don't think anybody else was there any longer than 2 or 3 years. So
it's tough to stay there for that long in those places.
That's like you said, it's dog years, right?
And then now they got my favorite handicapped guy, Timmy Cosgrove. He was a fireman there, and then now he's there as the captain. I mean, he's a great guy.
Why is your favorite handicapped guy?
Because he don't think right, man.
Well, do any of us really?
Well, if he was in 116 as a fireman and then he went back as a captain.
No, they were that whole crew on that second shift. Jerry, the guy Jerry Cambridge that I was telling you about, he was the officer there. But that whole crew was a tight crew. They were together at least good. Some of those guys almost 20 years.
Wow,
that's a long time to be together.
Yeah, they stayed together, and then a couple guys went to the squad. A couple guys got promoted. I mean, most of those guys when they left because it was time to go. I mean, like you said, dog years. But they did it. They hung in there. I mean, I give them credit. But that wasn't the kind of house that you left. I mean, but most of the houses I've been in, those are the kind of houses you left because you got promoted, you got hurt, or you retired. Those weren't the places that you were leaving.
Yeah, because it takes so long to get to them because they are so good that you weren't leaving there. Just you weren't transferring out of there most of the time.
Well, guys that are workers are looking to get in those houses. So once you get that spot, you don't go there.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Sometimes there are lateral moves where you go to another house that's just as good, or you're on an engine, but now you want to go to a truck. So now you might go across the floor or go to another firehouse that's got a good truck also. But other than that, I mean, it's not. They're not places that get vacated very quickly.
I know it's tough to pick a time. But when you look back at 37 years, where did you feel like you had
stole my question, Ruff?
The most fun, like the most?
I'll tell you what. I think my best days on the job, honestly, and I enjoyed all of it. I mean, I can't look back. My phrase has always been, I've never had a bad day. Just some are better than others. But I can tell you right now, those days on the rear step, I mean, as a fireman. Yeah,
Earl.
Look at the smile on his face, bro. That says it all. The smile on his face.
The rear step is the way to go, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. We had so much fucking fun. There was days I laughed so hard I almost pissed in my pants. We had a lot of fun.
We say all the time on the show, I have never laughed as hard as I was in the firehouse. Like whatever, not all the time, but there were times where you would laugh at where you could not get your breath, like you couldn't. It was just
everything hurts.
Hey,
everything hurts.
And Lou, and 3 days later, you think about it again, and you just start fucking
laughing again.
Yeah. There's always a constant state of stupidity around the firehouse. Like at any moment, something could just be so, like you're always walking around like something like there's this constant state of stupidity. Like
it just makes no sense that you could be with, at the time, like we were all men there. Now it's different. There's some women in there too, but like to have those guys doing so many stupid things, and then yet on a dime go out the door and go to work and have everything
like a professional
and just like putting your trust in that guy's hands to cut the roof and putting to go above the fire, to put your hand, your trust in that guy to have the nozzle to go down the basement. Like it boggles the mind that those guys, what the things they did in the firehouse and the things that you laughed about, and then to go to work and it was like that it was legit, that to me is a special thing.
But I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that you did go to war with these guys, and you have that cohesiveness from doing it together. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, we can jag around and we can play, but like you just said, and you hit the nail on the head. I know this fucking guy's got my back because I got his. And no matter what happens.
It wasn't even a thought. It was never a thought.
No. You think about it now because you're sitting here. But in the firehouse, you don't think about it.
Never even thought about it.
No, when the bell rings, we go to work. Yeah. We go to work. I call it automatic. We go in automatic.
For 6 months in the firehouse, I don't know what movie we watched where you do the goat, where you put your ball bag. There you go. Where you put your ball bag between your legs.
Oh yeah.
Guy, if you come up and it's in, if you look at it, he gets to kick you in the ass. We must have done that for 6 months, bro. You can be coming up the steps anywhere, turn the steps, and there's somebody like this.
Blaze did that to me. I opened the door from my office, and his freaking sack was like through his ass cheeks.
And if you're looking at it, he gets to kick you in the ass.
He's like, you looked, like it was just like
6 months we did that in the firehouse, bro.
Or the window of the rig.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Good stuff.
The stupidity.
Good stuff. We dump bucket of waters. We dump buckets of water on somebody. They walk by the hole and you dump a fucking bucket of water right on them.
Patty Lee, my old lieutenant, he said you could screw up and within a short period of time somebody would pull you right out of that chair. They take the pressure right off you.
Yeah, take the pressure off you.
Take the pressure right off you.
That was it. Well, we always used to say too, when we fuck up on the fire department, we'd say it won't be long before some copper does some stupid shit and we'll be all right.
We're
in the
it'll take the heat off of us. You know
Somebody
what I mean? And
they'd say the same thing.
They'd say the same thing about us,
I like that saying. Drop two and hold the squad.
Yeah.
That was a big one. That was a big one too. Mike Mark, that's my old classmate. Mike Mark's my old classmate.
Oh, another old guy. Make sure you like and subscribe, Mark. All you guys from Chicago. Hit that subscribe button.
All you jag bags.
Jack bag.
Is there any other stories that you think about that you didn't have a chance to tell that you wanted to talk about? Was there any line of duty stuff that stuck out to you over your career that
we lost a lot, man. I mean, you guys, anybody's been around this job long enough knows that that's the toll that takes on us. I had a guy, Mikey Schubert. He was a lieutenant on Engine 75. When I went out to the 22nd Battalion, he was already out there. I never got to work with him. He was a West Sider. He was on a different shift in a different battalion, and I never got to work with him. But when I went out there, I became really close to him. I mean, he was as hardcore as they get. He was a great fireman. He had head cancer, and he, true to form, being a fireman, just like a, hardcore guy, he fought to get back to work. He just fought to get back to work. He was sick as fuck. He shouldn't have been in there, but he did. He'd come and, I don't know, his treatment or something, the radiation had leaked down into his legs. He could barely fucking walk. He'd sit in the firehouse in the recliner with his feet up until the bell rang. And wow. Mikey was just one of those. His dad was on the job. His uncle was on the job. He was, like I said, he was one of my favorite guys on the job. And you get a fire with him, and he was as tough as they got. But one day it got to him, and he was supposed to be at work that day, and we sent somebody over there, and they found him. They found him dead. And I still think about Mike now. But like I said, we've lost a lot along the way, and anybody's been on the job long enough knows that.
Yep.
And it's a sad story for everybody, and it's a sad time for everybody. But true to form, the way we are, we kind of keep going.
You got to keep going, man.
You got to keep going. What are you going to do? But Mikey was one of them. Those are the ones.
That's the best part. That's the best part is telling those stories. Talking about them like that, right? It's still, even after all this time, it still chokes you up. You could tell. Even when we do it, we start talking about people. We remember.
And that's really the key thing to this show is remembering people that maybe we forgot, we ran into in our career that put you on the track of your career, and all the guys that came before you that made you the fireman you are. We tell guys this all the time, Roof. You say it, right? Show's about you, but it's not really about you.
It's really not about you.
And I invite anybody who's hesitating to come on the show. You got to tell these stories and get them down for other people to hear. Not just guys that you work with, but guys all across the country.
Yeah, I got one for you that I forgot about that story. But remember I told you I had met that guy that was driving the truck and told me to take the test. Well, I never saw the guy again. So now I get out to the west side. I got about 2 years on the job. I'm on the west side. And in those days, we had battalion chief drivers. So it's his last day. The driver for the battalion chief, he's going to retire. So we go over to this firehouse, which is 95, which is the battalion 18 that I'm out of now, but I'm at 96's house, which is the other side of the battalion. And we go over there, and I see this guy, and he sees me, and I said, "You look familiar." He says, "Yeah, you look familiar too." Who's the fucking guy that told me to take the test?
No shit.
Get out of here.
Danny Bodnar. His name was Danny Bodnar. Danny Bodnar did his entire career on truck 26s, which is probably one of the best trucks in the city.
Holy shit.
He had to be one of the best truck drivers. He was the best truckman. Him and Frankie Carone. Frankie is one of my classmates. He's been on truck 26 for 30-something years. I mean,
wow.
These guys are. If you want to ever teach a truck class or talk about opening the roof, those would be the fucking guys you talk to. But anyway, so I see Danny and I said, "Hey, you look familiar." He says, "Yeah, you look familiar too." And then we go back and forth and we're trying to figure out where we know each other from. And he goes, "Oh," and then Terrazzo and Marble. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You got hired, huh?" I said, "Yeah."
Yes, I did.
I did because of you.
Look
And
at
then,
me now.
like I said, now he's on my shift. Now I know he's there. Now we start working with each other. We got to talk to each
Wow,
other. We
that's
got to know
pretty
each
fucking
other.
amazing.
And it was actually in truck 26, like all in those days, we're all young guys, just like truck 29. They were all young guys. They were all guys that we all came on about the same time together because it was the 85 test and they started hiring in 86. So you had a July class in 86, you had a November class in 86, you had one in 87. Every 3-4 months we had a class coming out, and all those young guys, as soon as they got a chance, we're all going out there. So we had nothing but kids out there. And fortunately, we had some good seasoned, old timers that were vets. They were tradesmen. They had been in wars. I mean, these were the guys that were showing us. These are the guys that paved the way for us. These are the guys that went out on strike to get us all the benefits that we had. These were some hardcore guys. And fortunately for me, I came on a job in that era, and I got taught by the best of the best. And all I wanted to do is be like them. You know what I mean? Take a little bit of what they did and how they did it and what they thought, and just they'd walk into a room and it was just a different thing. You know what I mean? And I thought,
I think you accomplished that there, Chief.
I think so.
I don't know. Like I said, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and for a guy that never thought about my parents, when I first got hired, thought for about the first 3 or 4 years that it was just like a part-time job and I was going to go to law school or something. They kept telling me, when are you going to go back to school? I said, this is the job. This is the job.
It's not a job. It's a career. It's a calling, man.
They didn't get it. They thought, one on, two off. This guy's just playing around. Go get a real fucking job.
Chief, tell the truth. Tell the truth. You're a medical guy at heart.
There's a story behind that one too, and I was telling Gonzo, but the story behind that was the fire I had on my last day. First thing in the morning, I get a fire, and it's rolling pretty good. Now you got the line there, and it's not charged, and the reason it's not charged is because one of the guys that was taking pictures that day was Paulie Bojam. He was there taking pictures. He's off duty. He was a fireman from 62. He's a real fucking fireman, and we didn't have a line there. Because I had a line in the basement. We couldn't go in through the front door because the floor in the living room was burnt out. So we had a line in the basement, we had a line to the first floor, but through the rear door, and we had a line on the second floor. Anyway, they open up a wall as you go into the first floor, and this thing just lights up. So now we have the line there. So I'm screaming for the guy to send the water. You know, I'm calling him I'm calling him on the radio. He don't answer. Now I'm screaming to send the water because we had to charge that line. This fucking thing's going. I got guys on the second floor. I don't want it to run the stairs, you know. So somebody sends me that picture and says, you look like a medic crying. I said I was asking for another stair chair. So then somebody made that up and they said,
brothers.
Yeah, that's what they do best.
So did you ever, the couple of pictures that I saw as a chief, you never wore your helmet, or you did?
That was my helmet.
Where?
Yeah, he's got
the
Guppolini on. You had a Guppolini on.
No. And the only time, and here's my mindset with that is that I'm not going in. I'm not going in. Now, these are my two guys, you know. That's the 18th Battalion guys. That's the Big Toe and Marty Doherty. But anyway, I'm not going in. If I don't get an extra alarm on this thing, I'm the incident commander. I'm out in front. I don't need gear. I don't need gear to stand out in front. Now, if they up the alarm, if the alarm office ups the alarm when I'm en route or I get there, I got another boss coming. When he gets there, I get to go in, which is always a good time. Then I'm going to suit up. But if I'm not going in, what do I put my shit on for?
Yeah.
You know?
Melvin, put your suit on. We need you.
Well, like I said,
I got to give a big thanks to Mitch Crooker for getting you on the show tonight, because he didn't even think twice. I said, "Hey, you got another Chicago guy for me?" He says, "I absolutely do. I'll get back to you in 5 minutes." That was it. And
you guys really are very, very similar. Like really similar. Like
the fact funny as hell, and
the stories are great.
Yeah.
They really don't give a shit. It really is that same mentality. Like, you know, they give a shit about the
guys and fires.
That's it, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think probably nationwide, every department nationwide has different sets of people. We have hardcore guys. We have special ops guys. We have engine guys. We have truck guys. Everybody's got a different mindset. Me, like I said, I thought I was a truck guy till I was on an engine. I enjoyed being on an engine. I liked it. You know what I mean? I like being on an engine because I was a truck guy, because I had the freedom to get off the rig and do truck work while these guys were humping that line and putting out the fire. I was there to help them out, you know, which is what I used to do when I was a fireman, but I was assigned to the truck. I would still go with them. Now as an engine officer, I'm still going with them, but I'm still popping windows and opening doors. So, you know, it fell into place for me. You know, I said, I've been blessed my whole career.
How long are you out, Chief?
How long
6
was
days.
that?
6 days.
No, you got out 11. You got out in November.
How are you acclimating?
You know what? I don't have a problem with them. I got younger kids. I got a son that's 15 and I got a daughter that just turned 13. They box. I take them to boxing and we do all kinds of stuff together. By the way, that's my boy. He just won a fight. January 25th, he boxed. He won.
Now I have to ask you about that shirt you have on.
There you go. This is it. And that's my daughter. She fights also.
Get out of here.
Yeah, she does. She's a boxer too.
All right, so your Life Tough Boxing Club. What's the Life Tough Boxing Club?
This is a club that's put together, and what it actually is it's a anti-bullying program that a U.S. Marshal by the name of Steve Linder and a battalion chief on our job named Jeff Weber put together. It's the 10-year anniversary this year. And what it is, it's an anti-bullying class that they put together that teaches kids how not to be victims, not allow yourself to get picked on. Okay. So it teaches them boxing skills and it teaches them self-defense skills. But in addition to that, it teaches them so much more. It teaches them never sit down when you shake somebody's hand, look them in the eye, introduce yourself. You don't deserve nothing. You earn what you get, things of that nature. They do the Pledge of Allegiance before the class starts every day. Everybody's got to take their hat off in the class.
You could probably use that across the country there, Chief.
Hell yeah, man.
But you know what it is? It's a reflection of a lot like us, you know, situational awareness. Put the fucking phone down. When you're walking down the street, pay attention to what's going on around you. You know, don't be a victim. People pick their victims. People know who looks like they're not aware of what's going on. So that's what they teach them. And I was introduced to that class by a guy that's on the fire department also, and said, "Hey, I put my son in this class, and I can see the confidence and I can see the difference in him." And I said, "You know what? I'm going to do that for my
That's a
kids."
great
My
class.
kids have been in it for 5 years, and these guys have done a phenomenal job. They volunteer their time. They have a waiting list all the time. If you don't get enrolled right away,
Wow.
you
They
get
have a
pushed.
New York branch?
What's that? No, they don't. They don't. But the guy Steve Linder, the U.S. Marshal, he is from New York. He is in
Really?
New York.
Huh.
You know, yeah, he's living out here in Chicago now. But and these guys that teach it, they talk the talk, but they walk the walk. I mean, these guys are. Steve just won the Golden Gloves. Chef's been fighting around the world. He's a full. He's a martial arts expert. I mean, these guys are the real deal. You know what
Are
I
you
mean?
guys? Do they take donations? Like what do they have over there? Do you have a website or anything?
I'll forward it to you guys. I don't have it in front of me, but it's called Life Tough Kids Boxing Club. And like I said, once a year they'll put together a fight night also. And the kids that are in the program, they set up a ring. You pick your music. The kids come out. They get to fight. They get to do all of that other stuff. It's good stuff. It's really good.
LifeToughKids.com, right?
Yeah. And then now my kids, because they've been in the program for a while, they stick around after they're in advanced, but they stick around and they help the coaches with the beginners. So they kind of pass it on.
Awesome, man. That's good. That's good stuff.
It's all good stuff. I mean, it's a great program.
Did your boy want to get into the fire service or no?
You know what? They were with me the last day. They have a lot of fun. I had them. I told them this year, my kids never went to the firehouse. But this year I said, guys, if you plan on going to the firehouse, you got to do it this year because after this, it's over. And I'd bring them and they spent one at a time. I'd never bring them both, but one at a time. And they spend the night and they'd take in runs and they'd go to fires and they'd do everything else. And they loved it, you know. And then my last day, I took them with me and they spent the night the whole day. We had 3 fires that day.
Nice.
So we got to see it.
Think they want to do it?
I told my son he's not going to get the option. He's got to take the test. He can always turn down the job, but he's got to give himself the option of taking it. You know,
tell my son the same thing.
You know,
can't turn it down if you don't take it.
Right. It's options. I don't have to take it, but I have to have the option of taking it.
Right.
You know, and that's
Amen,
how it should
brother.
Be. You know, it's what it's about. You know, I mean, they've been there. They know what it's like, and it's like anything else. It'll kick in sooner or later. It will kick in. You know, they have a lot of fun, and you know, I hang out with firemen, so they know what it's like. My brother was a fireman. My brother Pat, he was one. He was a cop for a while. He crossed over. He came to the fire side.
Saw the light.
And then he was at 62's house too. I got to work with him in the same firehouse.
Oh, cool.
And you know, and he told me, he used to tell me all the time. He goes, "Hey, I should have listened to you sooner," because I tried to get him to come with me when I started, and he wouldn't listen to me. He's military and everything else. He said, "You should have slapped the fuck out of me." He goes, "I don't know why I didn't listen to you. I should have done it sooner," because he loved it. You know, once he did it, he loved it, like everybody else, like all of us. Right?
He's out now too. He's retired.
He retired 2 years before me.
All right, good for him.
You know, I'm the youngest, so
now we just got to keep waking up, Chief. That's it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm still working. I work a side job. I still work. So
you're teaching?
Collecting that pension.
Huh?
Are you teaching, Chief?
No, I did. I used to teach. I used to teach with the state Illinois Fire Service Institute is who I used to teach with. I'm still certified to teach, but no, I don't teach it because a lot of that stuff goes down in Champaign, which is a few hours out, and I can't go that far. I get my kids every other week, so they're here for the week. They're here this week with me. So
awesome.
They've been quiet. You haven't heard anything from them.
No. It's that time though, isn't it, Kubi?
I think it's the time.
I want to hear this guy's old school tip of the day. I think it's time for ready, Gons?
Okay.
I think so. It's time for
the old
school
tip of the day.
Now, first thing is just a tip.
Just a tip. It's a little game we like to play.
We always give just a tip. Okay. Here's the tip of the day, and it's just a tip. My tip of the day is geared towards the younger members of the firefighting community who will be the ones responsible for keeping the greatness, the pride, the honor, and the what does that say there? And the tradition of this job going. What I'm going to say is nothing new and has been said plenty of times by other firefighters that preceded me. Great men that have been on this podcast prior to myself have said the same things. This is basically firefighting 101. I'm just reiterating what I was taught by great men before me. I use the word firefighters because an old timer once said to me, prior to getting promoted. Don't ever forget that an officer is nothing more than a firefighter with a white shirt. You are still a member of that company, but you are the one that will take the hit when the shit hits the fan. I was good with that. It was always about taking care of my companies. I carried those words throughout my career. Understand that firefighting is based on a group mentality. We are called fire companies for a reason. The definition of a fire company is an organization of people who are trained to put out fires and rescue. Though we are individuals, we operate as a company, a crew, a group. No individual is above the crew, and every position on that fire company is just as important. Engine, truck, squad, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a job to do, and our successes and failures are based on each member accomplishing their job. When one succeeds, we all succeed. You truly have to believe that in your heart and soul in order to be your best. We all walked into this job with different ideas, goals, work ethics based on upbringing and what we learned growing up. Firefighting is about making adjustments and thinking on the fly. We do not get to choose our incidents. No two fires or incidents are the same. I have often said that the difference between a good fire company and a great fire company is a great fire company makes adjustments and keeps it moving forward to accomplish the task at hand under less than ideal conditions with no hesitation. People have a tendency to talk the talk. This job will give you the opportunity to walk the walk. The preconceived notions you had about yourself and how you think you will respond in those situations will be tested. One never knows how they will react until they are truly in the shit. You will learn a lot about yourself, good and bad. Learn from the good, correct the bad. If you have ambitions of one day being in the front seat, moving up the ranks, learn everything you can at the position you are currently in. Take classes, read, study. What I mean by this is put yourself in a position to be the best you can be to accomplish the career path you have in mind for yourself. When you walk into a firehouse, yours or another one, members will have preconceived notions about you based on your helmet shield. Are you on a busy company or on a slow company? Are you a worker or someone just looking to get by? Remember, your history on this job will speak volumes. Put the cell phone down, walk in, introduce yourself, shake their hand, and look them in the eye. You are part of that crew for the day. Behave accordingly. Check out the rig, and if you don't know, ask. Remember, you cannot learn to be a firefighter at the lieutenant position or at a company office, or you cannot be a company officer, learn to be a company officer at the chief position. You cannot teach what you don't know. As an officer, you have others to look out for, and at times they will look to you to see what decisions you make or how you are going to respond. Be humble. Surround yourself with like-minded people, people with the same goals, ambitions, and work ethic. We never stop teaching or learning. Both come from those that outrank us and those that we outrank. You can learn from both. You will know who knows what just by talking to them. Never believe that because of your rank, you are smarter. Once you think you know it all, quit. You are a danger to those around you.
Wow.
If you love this job the way many others and myself do, your career will pass in the blink of an eye. The job has a spot for everybody, a seat at every table based on what you are looking for. Your choice is yours, but train, study, learn to be the best you can be for yourself, your company, and the department. Take care of each other. Look out for each other. Never forget that we take care of each other, and the firefighters are the ones that do all the work. What we do in life will echo in eternity. Your career resume will write itself based on your decisions, where you've been and what you've done. For myself personally, all that ever mattered to me was to be the best I could be and to earn the respect of those that I respect. If I earned that, I did something right. Let me finish by saying I never had a bad day on the fire department. Just some days were better than others.
Nice. Very nice.
I think
Just
one of the
like a
best
chief,
you've ever
well
had.
prepared. Yeah, that was great, Chief. I enjoyed that. That was very
So
nice.
many points in that one. I enjoyed the show thoroughly. Thanks, Chief. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me, guys. I tell you what, I'm honored and I'm privileged to be able to sit here with you guys and enjoy this conversation and talk about things that are near and dear to me. And just to think of the guys that have been on this show and for me to be allowed to be on this show, I feel honored.
It's our honor. Believe me.
Our honor. You know what? Like you said, you've earned a seat at this table, brother. 5 times over. 5 times over.
I think you ordered an invite.
There was probably 20 tips in that.
Oh man, I was like, holy shit, there's another one. Maybe I'm gonna start writing them down.
20
and
tips
you've earned the trip on the boat trip now in August, around the Statue of Liberty.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to come. You got to come to that. It's a good
Oh,
time.
I'm gonna be there. Don't worry, you ain't getting rid of me
Bring
that
that
fucking
jack off
easy.
Crooker with him.
Hey, you ain't gonna get rid of me that easy.
Bring Crooker with him. Timothy
only
came
comes
last
to-
year.
Yeah, I'll be there with Mikey and
Yeah,
Mitch.
bring Crooker. Tell him there's no height requirement, so he can come on board.
Hey, but he can't get it. Hey, but he's not gonna be able to get on the carnival rides.
Oh, shit.
Well,
Good
hey,
stuff, Dave.
Coops, if you and I and Mitch walked into the firehouse, I can tell you right now, there's a guy at the firehouse that will yell out, "We got midget wrestling tonight."
There was somebody who said it in the chat that wanted midget wrestling.
Oh shit, man! Good stuff.
Short
man.
guys are the toughest, Chief. Don't
I
let
enjoy
them
it.
fucking-
There's a lot of energy in that little body.
Hell yeah.
Fucking
What do
right.
we got on Monday? We have one of the 9/11 shows again with Billy Burke.
Billy
His
Burke?
Billy Burke's brothers coming on, and Chief Jay Jonas is coming
Jonas.
on. And we're gonna do a
Never
salute to
forget,
Billy
baby.
Burke. Never
Yeah.
forget. We're gonna do one guy, hopefully once a month. What else we got?
We have to. You have
got a
a
guy
health
from
and safety
Flint?
tip.
We got a
What?
guy from Flint coming on.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh, we
forget-
gotta do the health and safety tip, guys, because I have a good one. So hold
You
on,
do?
Chief, as we
Just
do
a
our
tip.
health.
Another just a tip.
No,
Just a tip.
It's a little game we like to play.
Just a
a good
tip, just for
start.
a minute.
Just a tip. Yeah, docking. I'm sorry. Let's go through this.
Little
Hold on.
doc-
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right, tonight's old school health and safety tip. Listen, you said it, Chief. You get to walk the walk. If you're going to talk, walk the walk. I walked the walk this week, and I went for my Advanced World Trade Center medical. Ruffy went a couple of months ago, right? They do it soup to nuts. You got to go and get yourself looked at because stuff that you're doing at your normal doctor is not going to be covered. Like they do a stress test, but I was talking to Rob Brown, and he said he had a couple of guys who did a stress test, passed the stress test. He sent them for an imaging, and one guy had a 90% blockage that would not have been picked up on the stress test. So see, here's some of the stuff that they were able to do. For in 1 month, they picked up 13 guys with coronary artery disease, elevated PSA 5, right bundle branch block 5 guys, plaque cartosis 16 guys, possible skin cancer 9 guys, abnormal stress tests 28 guys, and the list goes on and on. So we say it all the time: early detection. Please go do it. I know in New York, if you call Rob Brown, you can get into just Google it. You'll find it, or they have them all over the country. Go get yourself looked at because you need to do this early detection if you're going to.
We just got to keep waking up, baby.
That's it. Collecting the check, waking up,
Enjoy
and,
that retirement, Chief. You know what I
and
mean?
bringing you guys stuff on the podcast.
You earned it.
One more thing, real quick. I
Go.
just want to say it's a blessing to be able to make it to the finish line when so many don't.
Bingo.
Okay? And
Yep.
that is what counts because we all want to leave on our own terms. Unfortunately, we all don't get to. So those of us
Amen.
that did, it's a blessing. God
When
bless.
you get there
and,
and to stay there for a little while. We
Yeah,
obviously
take
we
a
don't
little
have a
while.
healthy or a good track record of staying
Nah.
alive,
Nope.
around.
yeah, well,
for
quality of
many years
life is a
afterwards.
big thing too.
Yeah,
You want to make it
Quality
to
of
the
life,
end, but
too.
you want to have a quality of life with it.
yeah,
Right.
Sure. That's the thing.
So, gentlemen,
Also-
it's a pleasure.
Also, here's a little quick nugget. I finally tracked down Hugh Halligan's son, and I will be going on Wednesday to do an interview with Hugh Halligan's son in order to pair that up with the documentary on the Halligan that we're doing. So,
That's gonna be a
exciting
good one.
times, Ruff.
It's a good
That's
one.
right.
Yeah,
Great
living
tool.
exciting
Great
times.
tool.
Nobody's doing that shit, by the way.
Nobody.
Just nobody
We
does
are.
that shit.
That's
Yeah,
who's doing it. We are.
Nice.
That's it.
Jaguar.
All right, guys. You're a jaguar. No,
You're-
you know what you are? You're a, what is it again? I lost
Suck
it.
Jag
No,
bag.
oh, don't be
Jag
You're
afraid.
a
bag.
suckhole.
You're
Jag
a jag
bag.
bag.
Jack
Jag
bag.
bag.
You rat bastard. Or a rat
Thank all you jack bags for make sure you like and subscribe, all you jack bags out there, right?
Yeah, I like
man.
your shirt.
Oh, Patty Lee next week is retired 21 years. There you go. There's a guy who's doing it. Great job. All right, guys, we'll see you on Monday night. Until then, stay low and go. And Gonzo, get a haircut.
Good night,
Chief,
gentlemen.
enjoy your retirement.
Fuck, bro.
Enjoy the kids now that you have a little bit more time. And we will see you at the big one, everybody.
All right, brothers and sisters, remember, hook up and look up. Stay safe out there. All righty.